Hello, welcome back. I'm Haley.
I'm Jackie.
Okay, let's see where we left off here. I think since this is going to run on the 16th, the last video in chronological order that you would have seen would be our review of the hot tub stream. So we ended up pre-recording that one and this one because I'm going to be out of town in Vegas at Freedom Fest next week. And Jackie is going on vacation for her birthday and for summertimes the week after. So we wanted to make sure that we stayed on schedule and at least gave you something for each week. We originally were going to do a timeline for this video, but we realized that we need more time that we don't have before we both go on break to be super thorough and make sure we don't forget anything. So someone left a comment in the video that we did on the 9th for the protection order against Aaron from Ashley LaRue. And they said, you know, you guys should go over the Killstream where Aaron went on and spoke to Ethan Ralph. That interview was on May the 28th, which is 4 days after the Rekietas got arrested in April too. And 1 day after Aaron had gone on with Kino Casino and done an interview. So some of this you may have seen. I don't remember seeing, but maybe bits and pieces of it. Did you see it at all, Jackie? This one?
No, I did not. Not at all. Okay. I mean, you have opened my eyes to a whole new world of YouTube.
I'm so sorry.
And like the universe. I'm like, what did I just step into?
Yeah.
I've been hooked ever since.
Well, that's funny because the other day when we were live, somebody was like, are you in the Dabbleverse or the Hackerverse? And I was like, I don't know. But I mean, from looking into it, I think we would be more in the Hackerverse than the Dabbleverse. Yeah. But either way, we are Hackerverse adjacent. So I wanted to also thank all the people that came in that day. There was someone who had found us through, I guess, just the search engine on YouTube, who was part of the Nobody Likes Onions Army crew over there. They ended up throwing, I guess she texted him actually. When I look back, I was like, wow. Someone from that chat texted Patrick Melton from Nobody Likes Onions. He came over and was in the chat and participating. A lot of, and I think they left our link in the Discord too. So a lot of that big core group of people that's his audience came over to see us. And I just wanted to say thank you, because it gave our channel a huge boost. We've got a lot more eyes on us now. And I think because of all of this and the likes and the follows and our subscriptions and all that, that we may be like working our way into the algorithm finally. So thank you for all that and for all your love and your kindness, because it's been super cool to watch. I hope that you'll stick with us through this, because I also saw in the chat a lot of people saying, wow, this is really cool to hear a female perspective on all this, all the stuff that's going on with the Rekietas and the Imholtes with Steel Toe Morning Show and Nick from Rekieta Law. So I say all that to say basically thank you. And you know, we haven't seen any women who have been discussing this situation, and of those who have, they've either been sweeping for Rekieta, sweeping for Aaron, like not necessarily choosing sides, I don't guess, but middle of the road, or, you know, sweeping for Nick or Aaron. They're not giving, they're not giving like a critical perspective and just calling things for what they are. Like I think everybody in the entire situation is trash. Sorry, but and we all make mistakes and so forth and so on. But there were key decisions that were made along the way that I don't have any respect for. So I don't have any alliance with anybody. I don't, you know, I'm just calling it like I see it. Jackie's the same way. We're both no BS kind of ladies. So if you like that kind of thing and you know, just want to see some females take a critical look at the perspective or look at the situation, then stick around. So got all the business before.
Also, if you enjoyed us watching the hot tub stream, Lordy. Just give us any suggestions of any other videos that you'd want us to watch. Even topics that you'd want us to talk about. We're more than happy to look into anything.
And if there are other characters and personalities within the Dabbleverse or the Hackerverse that you would like us to review, and that's just it. Whenever we started this channel, this was never really the plan to do commentary and reviews, but it's so much fun. Like, I can't lie, I enjoy it. it's all the things that I'm saying either in private or in her DMs. So why not? Our purpose here is to have a good time. If we inform, along the way and people learn from it, that's great. But we just want to have a good time. So if the other characters' personalities, time frames, if there's something that you think that we need to see that we haven't seen, let us know. And we'll go from there. So this is going to be, I'm going to keep this on 1.5 speed just for time's sake, because it's a 2-hour-long interview with Ethan, Ralph, and Aaron.
And y'all know we like to pause a lot.
Yeah. So we're going to have to do 1.5 speed today for this, for sure. If it gets to where it's, we can't really understand it, then why is that not very big? Okay, that'd be why.
Yeah.
If it's too fast, let me know, and I'll slow it down to 1.25 or something. But so yeah, remember the fact that this is 4 days after the arrest, 1 day after Aaron went on Kino Casino and spilled the beans on a lot of the details.
And like that one is when PPP was telling Aaron that he sounds like a hero in all of his stories. Like he says it was such a bravado that like he's a hero in it. And that's when he started being like after his stories be like, yeah, but I'm a big piece of garbage though, so which is really funny because that really is when he started saying like, well, I'm not the good guy here.
Yeah.
You started out acting like you were.
He played both sides of the fence. He played both sides of the fence. He's okay. If you've seen any of our videos dealing with this situation with Nick and Aaron and that whole situation, then you already know how we feel about Aaron. But our opinions haven't changed at all. Aaron is something else. So, all right, let's crank it up. Let me see. Make sure I've got it on. Okay, all right. Here we go.
Aaron Imholte from the Steel Toe Morning Show. Welcome to the Killstream, sir. How you doing? Can you hear me?
He can't figure it out.
Yes, you can't hear me. Okay, how you doing?
He's so
not good.
Bad with tick.
Not good. Well, I always do this with new guests on the show, and so I won't change my status. We still have the hour 45, right? Since we moved it up an hour, right?
Hour and a half, hour 45. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hour 45.
Yeah. All right. Now, who are you? Introduce yourself. Most people know already, but
yeah.
I'm getting a echo back in my headphones here. We're good now. All right, never mind. Aaron Imholte from the Steel Toe Morning Show.
Look at the sign behind him. That's basically what we were just saying about him, like sort of working both sides of the fence. It's this really sucks, and also I'm a work in progress. Is he not the most feminine? What?
I know. I'll be honest. I have never heard Ethan Ralph before, and I was not expecting his voice to be like that.
You've never heard of the Ralphamale? Oh, Lord.
I've heard people talk about him and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, I've never actually watched any of his stuff before.
You're not missing anything. I think the only other time that I've ever heard him have been like little clips of, his downfall. He also got a Sonichu medallion like Nick did, and his life went after he got it. So there's a lot of lore to Ethan Ralph, a bunch, but yeah, he's something else too. Part of this sector. All right, let's see.
Also, one of the 4 people, I guess, at least part-time. I don't know if we'd say living with the Rekietas, but at least spending a good chunk of time there.
Also, can you hear my co-hosts?
Yes,
can you hear the co-host? Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, brother. Welcome.
This is Godwinson and Perspicasti. I don't know if you know those guys.
You will by the end.
Yeah, you will by the end. Now, let me ask you, first off, people want me to ask you this based on some clips. Did you engineer this? Did you go to the police yourself?
No, I didn't go to the police. And after reading the search warrant affidavit, I've been out of there for almost 8 weeks now. And that search warrant affidavit is really fucked up. And I feel bad about not going. And the reason I didn't go, which was I didn't want to look like I was
guilty.
No. I mean, I've admitted everything. No, it was more, I didn't want to look like, ironically, like I was going in and just snitching on them. When you get to the point where you want to go and report it, you start wondering, okay, is a lot of this in my head? Like, is this maybe not as bad as I'm thinking it is? And it wasn't. And I I'm not going to sit here and go, today's been hard for me. Today's been hard for me to live with the guilt that I have, because the whole thing is just fucking snowballing so fast. And I'm not like a commentator on it. I was part of it, and I don't feel good, if that makes sense.
But you are doing a lot of commentary, Aaron.
I am.
On the very scenario.
It's fucking bananas. It's on my show, I talk about my life and I talk about the news. The news happens to be my life.
But I mean, on your show, you kind of kept all this hidden, right?
What's that?
You kept all of this hidden on your show for a while, bro. I mean, you weren't telling everyone your audience that rackets are doing rails off your bypass.
Yeah, I would say I went further than concealed it. I lied. I mean, I fucking lied to protect people. And once the really drunken stream came out last week, that I decided I gotta sing, because this is a disaster. Like,
now remember all the times when he tells you how credible he is and how many people will say that he is 100%, accurate and never tells a lie. He has said that 1 billion times since this interview, for sure. But he tells you what he is. He says, I'm a liar. I lied about it. Not that we didn't know, but it's like, you can't be both. You can't be credible and also admit to lying to your audience for over 6 months while they gave you money to go do blow and whatever else.
You can't say that you talk about your whole life and stuff on what you do, and this is a huge part of your life. You just told them that you were part-time living.
Yeah.
With the Rekietas. And it's funny how he's saying that the drunken stream, the one from Nick the day before that they got arrested, was the ultimate reason why he wanted to come out and talk about it. When just not too long ago, maybe maybe there's other reasons why I wanted to talk about it, because of Kayla's threatening texts.
Right. Well, and one thing that he didn't say, and I don't think will say, is that when he considered going to the police, he took the children into account, because you would know that if you did go to the police and stuff, that it may result in what we see now with them being in foster care. If all is that's been alleged is true, then if you were to go and narc on the family, how would that affect the children? Like, if he had said that, I think I would have had more respect for that. Like, if his answer was, I thought that maybe the kids would get taken away and maybe that wasn't the greatest place for them to be, but I didn't think that was right for me to do as a friend to their children, something like that. But no, he's had so many different answers, and once again, none of them have involved the children.
And he said, I don't want to be a snitch.
Yeah, right. I think he's been working with the cops. I think he's been working with the cops the entire time, because when you read the, I guess the application for the search warrant, they say in it that the detective was watching not just Nick's streams but Aaron's, and that's something I would like to do, is go back and watch some of the streams that the detectives watched, and the ones right before the ones that are in the application. That they do say it, because it's like, I don't know, May 4th, blah, 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 or whatever. Because I want to hear how Aaron's speaking about this, because I have a feeling that he knew that they were watching, because there were certain things that he said around that time frame that up until that point he hadn't, and that was pre-arrest. Like, he lied to his audience the entire time, and then right before the arrest, he started spilling the beans a little on this and dropping some information about that. To me, that comes off as, I know that they're looking into this at the very least, whether or not they'll take action.
And especially that he didn't tell April's parents about anything until the day before the arrest happened. And he kept saying that April needed to get out of there.
Why would you not tell them? I mean, that's your wife of X amount of years. If you really cared about her and were concerned about her, no matter how embarrassing or whatever, you would be pleading with them to try to talk some sense into her, because nothing that you're doing is working. Also, I find it interesting that, as far as we know, Keanu and Gino had no idea about any of this stuff until it happened, which shows just how close Keanu was to April and how close she was to Aaron. That Aaron wasn't even telling, like, if Keanu and April were that close of friends, why didn't he go to her and be like, hey, this is going on? Number one, she didn't know, right? Obviously she didn't know, so April wasn't telling her. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Sorry.
April wasn't telling Keanu. Aaron wasn't confiding in Keanu to try to get help for April, because Keanu
Right.
didn't know. So how close were they? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
To see in the search warrant affidavit that the show I did that Tuesday also showed up in the search warrant affidavit
See?
is kind of wild that they use that as part of the reason. I'm not going to pretend that's why I did it, but
I mean, is that why you did it?
What?
Is that why you did it though? Because
No,
there's some speculation.
Wait a minute. Listen to this.
Like this, and to see in the search warrant affidavit that the show I did that Tuesday also showed up in the search warrant affidavit is kind of wild that they use that as part of the reason. I'm not going to pretend that's why I did it, but
I mean, is that why you did it?
Did what? Is that why you did what? Because Ralph's question or Ethan's question.
Right. No. I know, but what did he do? Like, right. Like, what did you do?
Ethan's question right before that was, did you go to the cops and spill the beans? And he was like, no. And now he's like, hold on, I'm going to back it up 2 more seconds to see. Oh, play.
Gotta sing because this is a disaster. Like this, and to see in the search warrant affidavit that the show I did that Tuesday also showed up in the search warrant affidavit. And I talk about the news. The news happens to be my.
But I mean, on your show, you kind of kept all this hidden, right?
What's that?
You kept all of this hidden on your show for a while, bro. I mean, you weren't telling everyone your audience that Rackets are doing rails off your like that.
Yeah, I would say I went further than concealed it. I lied. I mean, I fucking lied to protect people. And once the really drunken stream came out last week that I decided I gotta sing because this is a disaster. Like this, and to see in the search warrant affidavit that the show I did that Tuesday also showed up in the search warrant affidavit is kind of wild that they use that as part of the reason. I'm not going to pretend that's why I did it, but I mean, is that why you did it? What? Is that why you did it though? Because there's some speculation. No, I did it because I was fucking pissed at Nick, just because I've had conversations with him. I've had conversations with all of them about, cutting the shit and not doing coke anymore. And it's just, I was basically the narc. I was the wet rag. I believe the phrase they used was, you're trying to control our use. And I was kind of the odd man out in that regard. So I just got,
does that not sound like a confession? He said, yeah. I was the narc. I mean, talking about like to Nick and them, but either he's referring to like just talking about it on his stream or talking about it on Kino Casino, or he's talking about working with the cops, because he was like, it was weird that showed up in the affidavit. And that's why I did it. Did what? And he said, I did it because I was mad at Nick. Did what? Right.
Maybe I was going to give benefit of the doubt. Well, like, is he saying like that's why he did it, as in talking about it because he was mad at Nick? I don't. Or that's why he started talking about the stuff like on his stream.
But that's just it, because he talked, like my point a minute ago, he was talking about it before that one date that showed up in the affidavit. So almost as if he knew, right? Like, that's what I mean. The longer that Aaron talks, the more he tells on himself, and he doesn't even realize it. Like, he slips with certain things. And if you watch him trying to talk about this, his gears are turning, and he realizes he screwed up to me. He realizes he screwed up, and he's trying to unwind it and move it over here. It's just weird.
There's paperwork that you had put in when we were just talking to each other, and it was something, it was files or something from like Rekietas case, like Nick's case or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And it was going through different things, and him and April, he's given the police testimony. It's in the paperwork saying that there is testimony from him.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering when it was taken. And I'm really wondering what was asked and what he said. Because, I mean.
Well, so on one of his shows, he was talking about how that Wednesday he had to go speak with the detectives. So he said, like, I'm going to talk to them. And I'm almost positive, like, when he came back on one of those days, he was like, yeah, I talked to them. They have all they need from me. Trust me, I've handed over everything as far as, like, texts and stuff like that. So. Yes, he was obviously working with them and was verbal about that after the arrest happened. But I just, some of the information that was in the affidavit would have to be like firsthand knowledge in that home. And actually, he made a comment at one point where he said something like, everything that ended up in that affidavit is exactly the way I told you, down to where I said that things were. And it's like, do you not hear what you're saying? You're telling
Right.
people that you knew that the drug, what did they call it? Some kind of little container, a vase or something, not the bullet, but there was like a container he kept talking about that
Right.
was, whatever, on the shelf, on the third shelf on, the right hand side of the bedroom or whatever. Like, he admitted that the things that he said in the specific places, things, items could be found in these places showed up in the affidavit. So to me, that's prior knowledge, because otherwise, how would it be in the affidavit prior to the arrest?
And why wouldn't you, if you wanted to be the ultimate hero or whatever in the situation, why wouldn't you just come out and say, yeah, I did? I have in other streams, I've said I would have more respect for him if he would have just said, like, yeah, I did say something.
Because then that he would have to admit that he was the narc, that, and the affidavit says there were 4 different witnesses, I guess, or
Right.
4 different people that, had given information to the pastor who was the mandatory reporter. So it's
Right.
like, I mean, technically one of them could have been him. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe a couple people from church, the live-in nanny that left a couple months, like right when April moved in, or like a few weeks after she moved in or something, she threw up her hands and said she couldn't do it anymore. So maybe it's a couple church
Right.
members, the live-in nanny, and him. I don't know, but he admitted to, like, yes, everything that I told you down to where things were true. They're in the affidavit. And I'm also thinking, like, they would not have, I mean, when you go to do a search warrant, you're going to be looking everywhere anyway, but it's just interesting that he made a point to say, I told you that's where this was. I told you that's where that was. Like, I don't know. To me, that sits weird.
Yeah. It's either he did say something, or he's saying it because he wants to be a part of it again. And just say, like, he has some part of it. I don't know.
Well, Lord knows he does.
I'm battling a lot of different emotions. And like I told you, Ralph, in a DM, you and Alex tonight are going to be the last shows outside of my channel I do, because I've been doing too many channels, too many shows, talking to too many people. I've just been kind of saying yes to everybody, because I thought it would be kind of almost therapeutic to get this out.
Good for my channel.
Just more shit keeps coming out, and I just keep feeling more conflicted, bad shit. So I think after you and Alex, after I honor the commitments I've made, I'll just keep it to my...
Did he actually honor that? Or did he go on other shows?
No, he definitely went on other shows after this, because I was on the Simpcast when he came in, and that was several days after. I think he also did he say that he had already done one with Alex Stein?
I don't know.
He ended up on there at least once, maybe twice. He had Alex on his show one time, so I guess that doesn't count. But he went on with Alex on his show. I don't know. I don't remember the timeline of his media tour, but no, he definitely went other places after this.
Yeah. Okay.
My own shows and kind of keep it there.
Now, I talked to you on your show last week, and I asked, were you involved in the swinging lifestyle? And you denied that to my face. And then a comment in chat says, Ralph, he called it swinging. He simply said he lied to you to save it for the Kino Casino. Is that true?
No, I didn't lie to save it for Kino Casino. I lied because I've been tap dancing around it a lot, and legit, I just wasn't ready. Once I saw the arraignment,
all the money rolling.
No, that's not it either, because I didn't need to.
You have a lot of money off their singing, bro.
Oh no, absolutely, but I don't think I needed to mention that part for the money to keep rolling in. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I haven't gotten a shitload of attention and more audience and money because of this, but it's also my life, my story. Nobody else is telling it because nobody else is taking responsibility for what they did. If you'll remember, when I started talking about this stuff, and even to right now, I've only shared what I've seen, what I've experienced, and I've been very open about my flaws and what I've done wrong. And I don't know if I honestly, if I think I confess my sins enough, I think I'll feel better. It's certainly not going that way.
Now let me ask.
I think you'll feel better the more you talk about it. So on Ralph's point, when you denied that you were swinging, there was a distinction made, wasn't there? So what would you describe it as, and what was the scenario you found yourself in?
I would say it evolved into almost full blown. The couples flipped.
So is that swinging, or?
I don't know. I see more swinging as you have two sets of partners and there's casual sex, and it got to be more than that. There got to be a lot of feelings being thrown around, and it got really emotionally messy, I would say.
Let's pick up on that then. So I've seen some tweets from you where you've been. Oh, I'll let this play.
Daniel Larson
let it
spent
play.
$2 on Rumble.
Keep that thought though.
Before everyone sees the arrest body cam footage, what do you expect to be the craziest event shown?
Put a pin in that thought, because I know it's a good one. But he says, before everyone sees the arrest body cam footage, what do you expect to be the craziest event shown in the footage?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh man, what am I? Actually, for me, the physical. You got to remember, I know what the house looks like. I know where the drugs are and everything like that. So that's not really going to shock me. I've been.
Well, that's another thing that you said that had some people questioning because you knew exactly where the drugs are, and the police seem to know exactly where the drugs are.
Oh,
in the safe and stuff like that. So
yeah, like they knew exactly where to find all this stuff.
I actually didn't know about there was a second safe. I guess they searched. I only knew
you
about
mentioned a bathroom safe or something like that, right?
I know about the small. I didn't know they called that a safe. I thought of it more as a lockbox kind of a thing. I knew about that, but they said they looked at a second safe. I didn't ever know anything about that. I might have said something on my show. The show that was in the search warrant affidavit. I don't know. Or they could have just been going through the whole house. I mean, I know they found baggies and straws out. So I think they may have been using, if I read that right, they may have been using just recently and left it out. And that may have led them to search everything else. But I haven't talked to the, before they did the search warrant and all that, I never talked to any authorities or anything like that. Most surprisingly, yeah, I've had to. They've, they want to talk. There's been a couple different groups that want to speak to me about what I saw and what I did.
Now, let me ask you this. Are you worried about any potential charges on you? Or difficulties with your children in custody and stuff like that?
Difficulty with my children, no. But I'm aware that, like, I've been made aware that just as a precaution, they are going to have to talk to me.
So you're
okay. Wait, he just said that they had already talked to him. He said I had to, and now he's saying as a precaution, he's going to have to talk to them. Not only that, but what was my other point? He also said, I lost it. There was something about the timeline.
He hadn't talked to anybody prior to the arrest or anything like that. And I'm
going to play back the last couple seconds. I'm sorry. I did have a point.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay.
Want to speak to me about what I saw and what I did.
Now, let me ask you this. Are you worried about any potential charges on you? Or difficulties with your children in custody and stuff like that?
Difficulty with my children, no. But I'm aware that, like, I've been made aware that just as a precaution, they are going to have to talk to me.
In other words, work with us and tell us everything, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That makes sense to me as to why he's going to the Al-Anon meetings, because I have a feeling that he agreed to do that, or it was court ordered when he got pulled into this and was giving them information where whoever, signed off on this and they made the agreement for him to work with them. That was part of it, was they were like, okay, you're going to have to start going to these meetings. Like, prove to the court that we should let you off the hook for this because you've said so much and you've told us so much and implicated yourself in so many things that we could still press charges on you. I don't know what the limitations are as far as time-wise, what charges could be pressed, but the statute of limitations is different for, other places. But it's just interesting because if there are things, he's like, out of precaution, he's got to talk to them. So basically they said, you're going to have to work with us or we're going to charge you. Right?
Well, yeah. I have to say, I don't know. I noticed this, like, when we first started this stream, is that compared to the hot tub stream, he looks a lot thinner in this one.
Really? You think so?
I think so. Like, and I'm just, because that was back in January, and this is May.
Yeah. Well, he partied hard there for a while.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I was just like, well, maybe he just got more intense after they were, professing so much that they weren't in the cover or the quaver or whatever they called it.
Quaver.
Quaver. Clover.
Queeper. What?
So you may be. I'll get back to you.
I'll have my lawyer present.
Of course,
for it. But he and I spoke, and we don't. And my ex-wife and I have spoken, and we're all, if possible, she will be there as well. We're all on the same page on this. I'm not worried about.
Can I just ask quickly? Is your lawyer Nick?
No, I have a real one.
Right. Well,
now go back to Gobson. What you wanted to ask?
I just want to pick up on something there. So as you were describing how this wasn't like a swingers thing, you were sort of saying that feelings were in the air. And I've seen some of your tweets recently where you sort of talk about how. I mean, let's be real. Did you develop feelings for the wife, and did he develop more feelings for your wife? So you became like switch swap.
Both of us did, and we discussed it. I mean, it was not a secret. We talked. We were all very open with how we felt. As I watched kind of my wife consume more and more, her and I fought more and more, and she wasn't enjoying me talking to her about it, and I wasn't enjoying her yelling at me about it. So I gravitated more towards Kayla, and she gravitated more towards me, and those.
So what was Kayla doing? Was Kayla like the voice of reason to Nick as well, like you were to April?
What, you got something? You got something? What?
Hey, his co-host is doing a great job. He's asking very good questions. Okay.
They're playing good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, I mean, because it wouldn't make sense. So if you're all pissed off about April's usage and you're saying that like Kayla was doing the same amount, how are you gravitating more towards her than too?
Because he wanted an out. He was sick of April. Or they just were falling apart, whatever. They didn't mesh. And
yeah, I got questions.
right.
All right.
Kayla would occasionally voice a concern and a desire to stop. She was, I mean, like I said, I've said many times, I probably did it. I did cocaine maybe 3 times. I mean, like 4 lines or bumps, total. I just really wasn't into it. I didn't like it. Kayla was a little easier to persuade, but I know I had multiple conversations with her about cutting back. She told, again, I can only say what I've heard and seen. Kayla told me that she did have conversations with Nick about stopping and or cutting back.
Now I have a super chat here from Daniel Larson Stan that says, in the past, I treated coke like the ring. I kept it secret. I kept it safe. I made sure I always had an out to destroy it if need be. Did Nick ever have a secret phrase or text to destroy all drugs?
Not that I knew of, no. If he did, I didn't know about it.
Now, on the Kosher Casino, you said that this was basically your idea to fully open things up and join in was it Drupal? I don't know, marriage.
I proposed I proposed it to April while we were on vacation. I don't know what that says about me. I think maybe subconsciously it said maybe I was bored. I can say this. I can't advocate this kind of lifestyle. I can't advocate doing it. It will fucking destroy your relationship. And I think also to bring it up might mean that you should seek counseling with either you or you and your partner, because there's something.
So what made you want to ask her when you were on vacation, bro? Did you want to see her get railed? Like, what did you want to see out of it?
Let's go into it. Yeah. Like it was maybe a little more selfish on my part.
Go on.
That maybe I wanted to try somebody else. And obviously you can't, it's hard to ask for that without, there being a reciprocation, but I don't know. And it seems like a lifetime ago.
What?
Wait. What? Like, okay. So did the Rekietas come up to him and be like, hey, is this something that you guys want to do? And he's like, listen, I like the proposal. Let me go run it by my wife. Or was he like, hey, let's I know what they're into. I've seen some things.
He has spoken about
like
this.
Maybe.
No, he has spoken about this, and he said the way that it went down was they were coming back from somewhere, a bowling alley or something, movies or something, where they had been out together as all 4 of them, and that Nick was rolling. Nick was like on MDMA or something, Molly, whatever. And when they were in the car, they were getting ready to leave, and that Nick put his hand on April's thigh, and that Aaron was like, dude, what's up? And he was, oh, sorry. I overstepped my bounds, whatever. So that was one thing. But he said that later on, either that night or one right after it, that they were all over somewhere, Nick's or theirs, I don't remember, but watching a movie, and that all of a sudden April and Kayla started making out. And so
then Nick and Aaron started making out.
I know, right? Maybe nobody's gonna admit to it, but hey. But so they started making out. Aaron said that the next thing that happened was like he went over to April and started like touching on her. Nick went over and started touching on Kayla, and that they split up with their normal couples into different rooms. And that after that happened, they went to Vegas. And while they were in Vegas, that Aaron looked over at April and was like, that was kind of cool, right? And she was like, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And that's when he was like, maybe we should look into this. And then he said, somebody had asked him, and it may be on this, hell, I don't know. It was on one of these interviews, but he said something about like, well, how did you even know that would be a thing that you could even ask, to participate in? And he was like, well, the rumors on the internet were that, they were swingers. So we figured that it was open, and that he had messaged Nick and basically, I guess, had this proposal for him, and that Nick did not respond other than to say, do you have signal? Because it's encrypted.
So this was all Aaron's idea.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and according to Aaron,
according to Aaron, it's all his fault.
Yeah. So Aaron downloaded the app, and that's when their conversations moved over there, because in Signal, he said that it's encrypted, so it's supposed to be more private, and also that you can set it up to where messages delete, or you can like delete them as I don't know, some way that you can basically get rid of the whole chat if you need to. So that's why Nick wanted to talk over there and not have a paper trail anywhere else. So he may talk
credit
about
for everything.
Of course he does. He makes the sun rise and the moon rise every day on the back of Aaron's shoulders.
One thing y'all need to understand when it comes to this dude, I just start laughing uncontrolled. Because I don't even know what to say sometimes, and it just verbally does not come out. It just comes out in laughter because it's just ridiculous.
It is. It's beyond ridiculous. And what do you say? All right, let's go.
I don't feel like the same guy anymore on the other side of all this. So I'm pretty well, no, I mean, it's been 6.5. I mean, it's been since December.
6.5 weeks.
That all this started. No, 6.5 months.
Yeah. Right. So here's where I want to get to, Aaron. So you've opened up the marriage. I think she's hot. You know, I do coke off her ass, for real.
She's beautiful. Yeah.
I wouldn't really look much elsewhere. And if I was looking elsewhere, I wouldn't look at another man's wife who's 40. I'd be looking for younger bitches, to be honest. So what made you go to like the Racket household? How did that happen?
I think it was the reputation
the clout
that they had going in, and it was it would probably be beating us.
Yeah. Now, was it Gallatin is saying? Was it the clout that they had, or was it just
no?
The
You know, we really, and that's what people are really kind of missing that part when they ask me, did Nick ever talk about this guy? That guy? Nick and I didn't talk about streaming. Nick and I didn't talk about.
You just talked about fucking each other's wives.
I mean, it wasn't really a lengthy. There weren't lengthy conversations all the time. But yeah, no,
Okay.
I mean, we didn't talk about that kind of stuff. And I didn't see any kind of raise in what I was doing based on hanging out with him. It really was a friendship. Like, we hung out after that comedy show. We went out drinking. It was a good time. And holy
So when
shit,
did you ask him, hey, can I fuck your wife and you fuck mine? When did that happen? When did that conversation occur? If you just go from, because I know you can be friends with people, but then to ask that of someone, that's fucked.
Well, April and I talked about it, and then it became a 4-person group text. So it wasn't like individuals. And then we all sat down one day when we got back from vacation, and we talked about it, and just it discussed it, and
was everyone on the same page?
From what I recall, yeah, everybody was interested in going that route. Yeah.
Wow. So from that discussion, do you want to get undressed and start fucking, or do you like?
No, it didn't happen right away. I mean, it was a ways down the road. I mean, I don't think the first time was. I want to say until late December, January, maybe.
All right, now let me ask this question. Then I want
That's the beginning, though, isn't it?
Late December, January. So the spa stream, which was end of January, you have that.
Mm-hmm.
You have January the 5th. Is that what you said? That was when the application for the protective order was.
Yes, that's when it was filed. Yes. I don't know. I don't know when he was handed the papers, but that's when it was filed.
That's why we had to skip the timeline for this week. There are little tiny like fragments that are very important in my opinion. And I think if we can get it all, very tightly, in one little spot, I think we're going to see things jump out at us that people haven't actually, haven't put together and been like, oh, okay. All right. Now that makes sense. So hopefully soon we'll have enough time to give you that, but it's little things like that. I see you taking notes too. Thank you.
So, I am. I was like, so was his Christmas present to his wife being like, hi, here, you have a new dick for Christmas.
Dick in a box.
Yes. Maybe that's what they dressed
Nick
up
in
for
a
their
box.
wives for Christmas.
A Nick dick in a box.
Oh, man.
Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry.
Lord in heaven. I'm telling you, like, this is. Well, so, I mean, when because they met, in the late October, right? Is when they first, like, really met and, like, start hanging out. Like, that was really quick progression into, like, hey, you want to fuck each other's wives? Like, that. 2 months?
I'm trying to think of, that's what I was just trying to do was the math on that. So let's assume that, and when was the show? October 20th was the show.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, and I see it would be important to know when they went to Vegas, because that would show the time frame between when the girls made out, supposedly. Like I say, all this is hearsay from Aaron, so we're going all off of Aaron's timeline. But that would show us when the girls made out. They go to Vegas. He brings it up somewhere in there. The signal chat was created, so that would only give them between that point and I guess basically by the spa stream or the hot tub stream that had already been going on and in full swing for several weeks. So,
Right.
okay.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask this. One
And
second.
listen,
By the way,
I
callers.
if I could,
Finish your thought.
I feel like with everything that's going on now, I'm feeling really shitty about the amount of sex stuff I've divulged. Once I started, I just couldn't fucking stop myself like an
The
asshole.
day before.
So if we could get this topic kind of rolling and out, you know.
Well, I mean,
The day before, and you know how much he said. I don't know if I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even mind hearing the Kino Casino stream again. We may have to just go over it for funsies at some point, but
It was
he said
4 hours,
so much.
bro.
I know. And it was
Literally the night before.
yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Is like, who got to him between like that night? Was it his lawyer that was just like, dude, shut up? Like, who talked to him and was like, dude, that was a really bad idea, because he's so like he wants to skirt around this as quickly as possible. But this guy Beardson or Beardley or Beardleyson or whatever his name is, the guy that's like giving him the hard hitting questions, I think he asks him about it, and it's like tries to get him to basically go back into the same mode he was in with Kino Casino, like get graphic. So
Okay.
Let's see.
We'll roll with it, but as you said at the top of this, open and honesty and letting it all out is the best catharsis. It's the best part of healing.
I understand. I absolutely agree with you.
And you didn't seem to feel that way on the Kosher Casino, to be honest. You know, they're asking about.
I mean, I will say his manner here and your manner here, Aaron, is a lot more sort of measured and serious. You know, you're not sort of, completely pissing away this marriage. So I assume that she's been in touch and you're trying to work this out, right?
No, not at all. This has all been my, if I could use the phrase, my own personal journey. You got to remember.
Mein Kampf.
This is my struggle.
What's this?
It's like I don't know the right way to handle this, and I'm kind of just throwing everything at the wall. And day to day, I feel differently about the whole thing than I did the day before. I mean, there's times I get done with a stream and I go, "Fuck, I shouldn't have said that," or I get done with a stream and I think, "Fuck, I should have said that."
All right, now
it's
Daniel Larson stands at $5
I'm not expecting nobody should feel any fucking sympathy for me, but I'm having a hard time navigating the thing. The one thing I always want to make sure that I'm doing though is when I talk, what I'm saying is accurate, factual, and correct.
All right, now let me ask you super chat questions. Noseberg33 says, "How do you feel knowing they're facing 25 years in prison? I don't think you quite comprehend the severity of that."
One day I feel like, you know what, fucking good, because these drugs, and this stuff helped contribute to a situation where I fucking lost everything. And well, not everything. I mean, obviously I have my children, I have my health, I have all that, but like it made me lose something that I thought I'd have for a long time. And it got out of hand and it got fucked up. And but then there are other days where I go, well, hey, Aaron, you're responsible for that too. Like you had a part to play in this too. So the 25 years, what I'm really hoping,
Say that later.
they admit what they did.
Well,
they're facing 25 years in prison, man. Like you don't just plead guilty.
And look, as I talk to my lawyer, there's a lot of, if they take the right steps, I don't think they're going to spend any time in jail. If they can go to rehab, go to therapy, get off this shit, kick it, bleed down, and work. Their number one goal right now, I wish, should be getting their children back. And the only way they're going to be able to get their children back is if they admit that this all got away from them. This life is unlivable, that they need to get better. My emotions run the gambit constantly. I'm not doing the greatest, but right now there's a lot more compassion than I've had the last couple of days, because seeing like those kids have been through enough, and I hope they get their fucking parents back. But the only way, but I can't just sit here and be an asshole and go, oh, I need them to have their parents back. But their parents need to be in a position to be good parents. They can't just go back to what they were. So what I know they're facing 25 years. I hope they feel that pressure. I hope they can find a way to cut some kind of a deal that involves them taking the right kind of steps, a probationary sentence that doesn't let them have any drugs or alcohol, and they can get on the path to getting their kids back, because they have money. They have a beautiful house. They have all the advantages that people need to make this work and not worry. They just need to take those personal responsibility steps so they can get healthy. That's what I'd like to see.
All right, now let me read the super chat. Well, another one just came in. Hold on, let me.
Question for Aaron.
And I'll read them both. Hold on, just let me one at a time. And I appreciate the support. Hopefully we can hit the goal again. Daniel Larson says, "Original Mr. Man in chat is right. If you're looking for another hookup, did you know that Worski's mom is available and quite the swinger?" I didn't know that. No, I'm not sure. I can't confirm that. But
I've learned a lot about the little beeps in this portion of the internet, and holy fuck!
I definitely wouldn't suggest his girlfriend, because she is a real homunculus. Anyway, yeah, I'll leave that there. And you, by the way, PPP trying to get you to dox their kids' location.
I thought that was pretty cheesy.
That was disgusting.
Right?
And
I mean, the one.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to defend PPP on this one. He did not try to get them to dox the location. I think the only thing he asked was, did they at least go with a family member, like a grandparent or aunt? I think is the way that he said it, if I can remember correctly. And I only saw it one time, and like you said, it was for 4 hours, so maybe I'm misremembering. But I don't think PPP would do anything like that. He is very careful about making sure things are redacted, and he calls people out for that who don't. And as a matter of fact, Ralph, Ethan Ralph, I always call him Ralph because they call him the Ralphamale. So if I say that, you know what I mean. The Ralphamale here was one of the very first people, and the only one that I'm aware of, who doxed all the children's names when he brought up the paperwork on one of his streams. So I'm just saying, I don't think PPP did that. Do you?
I don't think so. Well,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. So between Kino Casino and this show, which it looks like it's probably what, in the morning, afternoon, the next day,
I really don't know.
because I'm telling you, the application for the search warrant came out like on the 28th.
Did it?
So yeah, it came out a few days after the arrest.
Yeah.
So it was like, because they didn't talk about that on Kino Casino. I'm
True.
not. So between being on Kino Casino, he had his stream where he found out live, because I remember me and you watched it together, and we're
Yep.
like, holy shit.
Yep.
Okay. And then him doing his stream with Ethan Ralph, he sounds like he has more compassion right now in his talking than he does usually. And I think it's because he had just read all that stuff. It's his first time I ever heard him talk about the kids.
Yeah, that's true.
Too.
That's true. I wonder. Well, I was just going to say we need to pull that affidavit back up, and I would be curious to see the dates of the videos that are in that, because I know there was the one with Nick, which was 3 days before they got arrested. You got it?
Oh yeah, girl.
Now just I know you do.
I heard him talk about kids, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah,
What's
that's
the
true.
date again? And I had started putting the timeline together. So I will show you what I've got here. Okay. Can you see it on the screen?
Not yet. Do I need to take mine down?
Yeah. Okay. So
no, it's coming.
See this?
Yep.
All right. This is the most important part. See, that's when it was published right here, May 28th. And this is the application of search warrant.
Wait, scroll up though. What is the one in the corner, May 28th too? Is that what that says? In the corner
of the... This is May 23rd.
Okay, I'm just curious. I want to know the difference, but go ahead.
Yes,
so it was published May 28th to the internet.
And right.
So day of this stream. So this has to be.
I'm on point. I knew it.
You knew it before I did.
Was talking, I was like, "That's bullshit." Like, no, because the way he was talking on Kino Casino compared to how he was talking on this one is completely different. Like something hit him in the balls in between then, and that was it.
So this was the evening of, and when we watched his show that morning, that's when he was reading through it with Johnny Crutches, right, and was like, "Oh, the kids." So this is later that day or that night.
Yeah, let me, and I'm going to double check. So don't not make a liar out of myself. So
if you have the affidavit pulled up, will you tell me the different video dates that they cite when you get a second too?
Yeah, give me 1 second, because I want to go through, because thankfully, Steel Toe Morning Show dates all of their shows, so I can go back to the 28th of May, and let's see this real quick. Hold on. Sorry.
What's happening?
Okay. I'm just looking through to see. We can play the Ethan Ralph stuff, and I'm just like going through his May 28th stream because he's wearing the same shirt.
Okay. Yeah, it's got to be that evening, that afternoon or something.
Some part I actually do somewhat respect you for it. You kind of said.
Yes, and I wanted to give you a gold star for not revealing that, and they were pressuring you to do so. At least he was. And you could have done that, and you didn't. So I will give you credit. I'll give you credit there.
$10. Congrats on your.
Well, thank you. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to. I wasn't going to answer that question.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Yeah,
I think we can all.
I mean, look, all of us have a lot to atone for. All of us did a lot of things wrong, and I was kind of hoping that if I came out and I admitted what I did wrong and talked about what I saw, other people would too. But the kids did nothing wrong, so I'm not going to implicate them in anything or talk about them or reveal names or ages.
Nick and April and Kayla should not be saying anything about their guilt or innocence for any reason, and certainly not for Aaron. I wish he would stop this. He was saying that for a while, several weeks, maybe even up to yesterday or today, that they need to atone for their sins and publicly admit to what they were doing, blah, blah. How stupid is this dude? I mean, we know, but come on, man.
Or
I completely agree. I completely agree.
I only want to hold the guilty accountable, and I'm one of the guilty.
All I want to do is just find out what you're atoning for, really. So I know you have that initial conversation, you're all sat around, you all somewhat agree, and then sometimes after, at what point, and what scenario do you find yourself in? Do you fuck his wife? Does he fuck your wife first? Do you both go off into separate rooms? How does that play out? And how does it escalate to the point where we're like, we need to atone?
It was the last one. It was, you go off into separate rooms. It was never like all together giant orgy type of thing. It was not that. And I think that probably contributed to the feelings developing and everything else when you're alone with somebody else,
Yeah.
Now, and how did he try to dox the kids? Unpleasant Alex, he asked where they were staying, and they would immediately be doxed on Kiwi Farms, just as April was doxed last night on Kiwi Farms. That's how. So if you want to run defense with those faggots, don't even try it in my chat.
Whoa. Yeah, that's shitty. I really, because one thing I do want to say is that I really hope that April gets better and goes back to who she was. Because she really is a beautiful, incredible person. And what her and I have been through, it's too late. It's too far gone for both of us. But I really hope she gets back to who she was at the beginning of this, because she's a.
And the fact that AIM Alex, the fact that AIM Alex would try to run defense for the kosher casino is just insane, by the way. And I'll say that publicly. And if I see you do it again, we're going to have a problem. I'm just going to tell you that right now. A big problem. Now, let me read this super chat from Octopus. He says, question for Aaron. What made you want to swoop your nubile cutie wife? He's saying this for a busted, haggard 40-year-old that had 5 kids who must have a body like porridge and a plastic hair and a vagina like a wizard sleeve. Again, not me saying that. Super chat.
None of that. First of all, I probably don't even need to address that part, but that's not accurate. First of all, I genuinely like Kayla as a person. I do. Or at least I shouldn't say that. I genuinely liked the person Kayla was when you first started talking, and we would talk and everything else. It just, that's the problem.
What I want to know, Aaron, is like, when does the money and the drugs come into the
let me just finish this. Let me just say this. All 3 of them, there are parts of them, and it's the sober parts, that I genuinely like. I mean, I wouldn't have been there. I wouldn't have hung out with them if I didn't genuinely like who they were sober. Even Nick is a decent dude when he's not fucked up. The problem is he just started being more and more fucked up.
And when did that come into the equation then, Aaron? When did you all start partaking in these drugs? Was it on the first bat, or was it a few interactions after?
No, it was a few interactions in. We didn't just start doing it right away. I don't know about Nick and Kayla. I can only speak for April and I. But it was over a month after meeting them. I mean, we met in October, and I don't think the first time we did any drugs, or at least I consumed any drugs, was not until early December.
All right, Jackie, jot it down. Early December was the first time they did anything, and he said about a month after we had started hanging out. So that would have been late November, early December.
So
what's their post-match breakdowns then? So after that first time, you come out. Are you talking to April about what went down, or is it all just kept secret?
Thank you.
We talked about it. I mean, April and I tried all of the, the stereotypical things in that kind of world that you do, and
like what?
Which are what?
Well, you just asked, like talking about it, things like that, and then
every detail.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to go as far into it as I want to at the moment. But yeah, I mean, we talked about it, and her and I were really good for a while. I wouldn't even say that it was that degeneracy that even broke down the relationship. It was definitely more the drugs, not only the doing of them, but my attitude toward them as I kind of rejected the cocaine part of it. I was a wet blanket. Like I was, when people really want to do something and then somebody goes, guys, I don't think we should, that person's going to get fucking steamrolled. They're going to get you the fuck out of the way so they can get to the thing they want to do. And that created a big rift. And I definitely didn't communicate it, I'm sure, in a healthy way so that people who really did a lot of it could hear me. But then again, I'm not a fucking doctor and I don't know how to. So I was, I think the drugs played more into the downfall of all this than anything sexual. The sexual stuff, I get it. It makes for good tawdry talk and everything like that. But I think the lesson.
The only thing I really want to ask just on the sexual stuff whilst we're still on it, who was the better lay, April or your wife? Or Rekietas' wife, I should say.
They were both wonderful.
All right.
Go on. Who was the better lay?
They were, honestly, they were both very good with different things.
All right.
Like what?
They're both very good with different things.
All right, I'll let him stick with that. Cliff sent this in. It has a song, so I won't play the song right now. But he said, "Congrats on your 15 minutes, Imholte," and then he said, "Fucking dummy." Is what he said. Now, do you feel like this might be dumb long term?
It was all going to come out. You look at the search warrant affidavit. There were people apparently around town that thought our relationship was weird. We were going to be asked about it by authorities, courts, whatever. Like this was all going to come to light. I didn't talk about this part of it until after the arrest. I mean, April's taught, living at their house. I mean, everyone knows kind of, what the fucking score is. So,
in your town,
the arrest thing,
not the freaking internet.
Right.
The world.
His timeline, though, is so strange.
Oh, my God.
Ugh.
really put me in a fucking weird spot because I'm like, well, this is humiliating for everybody. but like, here's the whole story. You know, it's going to come out anyway. So I didn't want a bunch of shit about myself to just come out there and me lie about it. I'm like, I better just fucking take the poison pill and talk about everything I've done.
All right, now let me ask a super chat. Then we have Ryan Harkness, who's a guest on the show, who called in. He wants to ask a question. Anybody can call in, by the way, and ask a question or send a super chat in with a question. George Lincoln Ralphamale says, "Did you? Oh my God, did you ever notice any Jewish paraphernalia lying around Nick's house? Any dreidels, matzah, whatever?" Okay.
No Jewish things in Nick's house.
Okay, all right.
We went to a Passover Seder once, but I thought that was a bit.
Okay.
That's a bit Jewish.
Yeah, I know he's joking. Yes. Okay, Ryan Harkness, unmute yourself, and if you want to ask a question, go ahead.
Yo, do I sound okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go
Sound
ahead.
great.
Go ahead. You can speak. Well, there's another super
Semester
chat.
33 cent $1 on Rumble. Are you or are you not Matt Jarbo?
Are you not Matt Jarbo? I don't know about that. By the way, Perspicacity, I'm trying to get him back in here. I don't know if he had to step away or what.
I think his browser crashed, Ralph.
Okay, all right. Well, when he's ready, just let me know. Perspicacity. Shamu is here. Okay, Perspicacity's back now. I actually wanted to let Perspicacity open a line of questioning because I figured he had a few as well.
Sure, and it doesn't have to be sexual, because I'm curious really about, so we just watched on Chrissy Mayer the introduction of your wife to Rackets. She's looking very, very hot there.
Very presentable.
Yes, like a shiny new toy.
The first time
She's
they
out
met.
there.
Yeah.
Is that the first time that you guys, is that the first time they actually met?
Is it at the comedy show?
No, it was on air on
no,
Chrissy
Chrissy
Mayer's
Mayer's
show.
show.
So they didn't meet in person. The first time they
Yeah, that was the first time that they were on a show together. Yeah.
Now he's inviting her into his hot tub and giving his address.
Yeah.
Literally within seconds of seeing her. Did you know about that?
I mean, I watched.
He was in the chat. He
I
super
imagine he was in the studio,
saw.
yeah.
What did you think about that? I mean, he's coming on your wife on air, basically.
Boy, I don't remember. The thing I remember about that one is the Alex Stein confrontation. So I don't.
Yeah, and he called you a lot of names, basically.
Yeah. No, I don't. Honestly, that seems like a lifetime ago. I don't remember that even happening.
But what's that before or after?
But it did happen. We just saw the clip.
You want to open up the marriage.
Yeah.
Was that before or after?
That's before, but okay.
Before,
Because he's saying this is the first meeting, right?
met them in person. Yeah.
So when do you actually meet them in person after this event? Give us like a little bit of a timeline.
Timeline, yeah.
Yeah, in October at the what was supposed to be the Chrissy Mayer show. Obviously, Chrissy had that tragedy with her father go down. We met them at that show.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Now there's another question that was asked earlier. Super chat in earlier. It says, so your whole defense to being a cuck bitch, and I'm sorry, not my words. Your whole defense is that you complained the whole time.
What?
That's what the question is.
I mean, a lot of people have been saying you're sort of a cuck bitch. I mean, how would you respond to that?
I mean, whatever. But as far as complained all the time,
but that's he's saying your defense is that, well, I was complaining the whole time and telling them to get together.
I didn't complain the whole time. The cocaine thing was really the only point of contention we had as far as like if I had a consistent gripe, it would be, this is too much. We're everybody needs to back it down a little bit or stop. I thought it was a little reckless, to say the least. That was my big complaint. Everything else was, there'd be interpersonal dramas, there'd be interpersonal fights, between couples or whatever. There'd be little dramas. I mean, when people are on drugs, I mean, they'll fight about the dumbest fucking shit,
What shocked me with how you're talking, right? It seems to me that if the drugs just weren't in the equation, you'd still be letting rackets fuck your wife.
I don't know.
Would that have made the situation more? Would that made the situation more appealing if there weren't drugs involved? If you could have just had like this swap and exchange?
I don't know if it would have happened if the drugs weren't involved. You know what I mean?
But you said they weren't involved first.
A few times before, when exactly, they weren't involved at first.
What's that?
Wait, hold on. You said they weren't involved at first, though. The drugs, right?
No.
Or were they dropped right off top?
The drugs. No, I said when we first met, there were no drugs. But
in that first interaction that you had when you were fucking his wife.
If they had stopped the drugs like you wanted them to do, would you still be engaged in this relationship with?
No,
Rekietas?
probably not. I don't think so. It was falling apart. There's no way to say like if the fighting and the drama and everything would have stopped if the drugs stopped. There's too many dominoes that would need to fall.
Did he reciprocate, Kayla, any of your reflections?
Can you pause it real quick?
What's that?
So who's the one that introduced the drugs then to the group?
Well, Nick. Nick, I mean,
okay.
Yeah, he's said that a couple times in other spots that Nick was the one that first gave it to April.
Okay. Because he's saying also that when they first got together that they weren't doing, I don't know. All right.
It's definitely Nick. I mean, he's the kingpin. He's the one,
right.
The way he talks, he and April didn't mess with it at all beforehand. We saw the clip that we played that was showing all the times before all this happened that they were bringing up cocaine on their show. So, I mean, maybe April messed around with it a little bit or something before then, but I don't know. From what it sounds like to me, as far as this situation, it was definitely Nick.
All right, I'll be right back. Sorry.
No, reciprocate any of the feelings that you were having.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Were you really in love with her? Or are you just saying that to try to dig the knife into Nick's
No,
back?
I don't know. Looking back, I don't know. I know at the time I thought I was, and I know at the time she thought she was. I don't
the point
know.
of what? Were you planning to sort of elope, get out of there?
No,
nothing together?
Nothing.
Were you
like
hoping just to? Because it kind of seems like you were already annoyed with your wife, so it was a good way to kind of like swap off.
It seems to me, right? You instigated this by your own words, and it seems to me that you had something called cuck's remorse when it finally did kind of happen. Would you agree with that, Aaron, brother?
No. Kayla and I got very, very close, and I was enjoying that part of it. And my wife and I were fighting over different things, and that would cause me to gravitate more over that way. And I would say that Kayla actually helped me quite a bit during those times. So no, I wouldn't say remorse. I mean, obviously, we saw how this whole thing ended. Like there were a lot of fucking things going on. There were a lot of fires to put out, and it all just caught up with everybody.
Now, let me ask you about the warrant and the alleged shape of the kids or whatever. Again, these are allegations put forth by the police, so I'll keep it as alleged. Do you feel guilty about that? Do you feel like maybe you should donate some of the money you made off this to the Rekieta children? Or
I do feel guilty about that. But the other thing I will say is I've been gone from that situation for almost 2 months, and what they described seems quite accelerated from when I left. It seems like things went even more downhill. Because some of the stuff in that, like the description of the kids and what they said, that shocked the shit out of me. So, I mean,
you said on the casino, right, that when you were all fucking, I guess the four of you were in a bed, you might not have been fucking, whatever. The kids knocked on the door, they were hungry, and you fed them. So already there was some sort of neglecting going on by your own admission, right?
But I've said on my show numerous times, I've cooked for them. I've seen Kayla cook for them. I've seen Nick cook for them. I've seen April cook for them. I mean, we've all gone grocery shopping before. I mean, it's not like these things.
But I mean, it ain't right. By your own admission, when they're knocking on the door as you're all four in a bed and they're saying we're hungry, and then you went down to cook for them. I mean, that's not right, is it?
No, that's not right. That's not right at all. Like, that's obviously a terrible look.
Also, that's a no to donating to the kids as well, right?
Yeah, are you going to give the money, all of the money you paid to the children?
We're in the process. No, we're in the process. We talked about that on the show this morning. I don't know if the people who are currently in care of the kids really want to hear from any of us in that regard right now. But I'll go through.
I'm sure the money would go a long way in making sure.
No, what I'm saying, guys, let me finish. Guys.
Hang on, let me say this. Since this is on the 28th, that's 4 days after the arrest. That statement is interesting, and maybe he's just going on what he knew to be the immediate place that the kids went. But like right after this, he was saying that they were with the grandparents and that he had talked to the grandparents and had talked to Kayla's sister or brother, who said, "Yeah, that's where they are." So 4 days after this, as of this video, he said that he didn't think anyone who had, the people who had the children would want to hear from him. So that tells me, at least up until that point, I guess, that they were still with the kids, or as far as he knew. But it's just interesting, this thing about the money, because I watched that morning show with him that same day.
And it was the 28th, and it was the May 28th. Yes.
And do you remember them saying that? He was like, yeah, he had a whole thing about it. Like, yeah, maybe I should donate the money outright. Maybe I should get a gift card to the grocery store and give to them. Maybe I should donate in their name. Like, just weird stuff. And he went through all of that. And, because then he was like, if I do it and then I come on, and report back to you guys that I gave him this much money, then I'm a chump for doing that. And I'm just trying to show out and blah, blah, blah. And if I don't do it, I bet he never did any of it.
Nope. And also, him saying that the people who have the kids right now probably don't want to hear from him. Of course they don't. What were you just talking about? But
that also confirms that it's not a foster parent, at least at this point, right?
Right. Oh, it's just bad.
Right, go ahead. Yeah, we're going to go through either the police department or a third party and get it to them anonymously that way, because I don't know if anybody wants to speak to me at the moment.
Probably not, I would assume. Now, Ryan Harkness, Shamu's here too, but Ryan Harkness, unmute yourself, and then I'll get to Shamu. You had a question, Ryan. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that earlier. I think I got it working out. But what I want to say is there's typically 3 deadly sins when it comes to this East Web shit that ends up doing people in and ruining their lives. And I think all parties involved are guilty of at least one of each of these 3 sins. The first and most forgivable one is just having thin skin and not being able to take the heat. I think that's what did April in, despite the fact that you, Aaron, kind of, I'd say, pushed her into this. The second one is living the gimmick too hard. Ralph knows a little bit about that. Yes. He bounced back from doing that. That's obviously what did Nick Rekieta in, just going too hard, being a rock star. But the third and most egregious, and this is one that I think you're guilty of, Aaron, is just wanting it too much. Wanting to be a clout too much and doing things that you knew were going to lead possibly these ramifications. So you're telling me that you just had your intentions were curiosity with this polyamorous thing. You developed feelings for Rekieta's wife. Come on, man. It was the clout. That's why you wanted to do this. Just admit it.
Look, man, I can understand why you think that way, and you are allowed to think that way. Absolutely, 100%. And I'm here to tell you, I've been honest. And if you read all the documents, I've been right on about everything. That was not what it was about for me. But you are allowed to
about self-think. So
I'm not going to tell you you can't think that way. I'm not going to tell you that you're not allowed to feel that way about me. That's totally fine. I'm just telling you from my gut, from my heart, that's not what it was about for me.
All right. There's you on air contradicting yourself several times. You told Ralph when you were on, or he was on your stream, no, cocaine wasn't the substance, and then literally days later, oh yeah, absolutely cocaine. They're all doing it. I was doing it.
Well, after they got
There's a contradiction.
after they get busted, I can't really cover for them anymore.
Well, that was after they got arrested.
Yeah.
You implicated yourself earlier on your stream.
I talked about what I did.
You said
One at a time, gentlemen, one at a time.
I said when I talked about myself, I'm only going to talk about me and what I did. Then after the bust, it's kind of, I mean, there's no point in protecting anybody anymore. It's kind of the cat's out of the bag.
Come on, man. You weren't curious about Kayla Rekieta or whatever.
Come on, man. I got it.
All right.
Look at the mugshots of your beautiful wife next to her. That's what you were going to choose over that? You had the world in your hands and you gave it up for clout.
Those mugshots are fucking terrible. It's awful.
Your wife was good. Her crying, doughy eyes.
I hope everybody gets better.
All right. Ryan, final thought.
Your wife was gorgeous in that way.
I thought she still looked good in the pic. Yeah.
I mean, I have to back this guy. I think that's exactly what it was. You know, Kayla wasn't, she's not like an ugly, well, I don't know. She's interesting looking. I'll say that, but she wasn't like a step up. It wasn't like a graduation from April to something way hotter and all of that. So that for me sort of backs up the idea that like, not only was he hoping to get on this clout train with the Rekietas and get in good with them, but if that meant dissolving his marriage, he was already like, they were already downhill enough to where that was a good out for him and he didn't care. And it was like, you know, I don't know, leading the water.
How many times have we said before that all of it, it's all about him. It's all about him. And we saw it in the hot tub stream. It was all about Aaron, you know, and it's like, it seems like it doesn't matter who he needs to step on to get to where he wants to be. I mean, if you even think about when he got fired from his radio job, it was because he was making fun of somebody.
He sacrificed April, though. He sacrificed her for any and everything that came with this. And the way that he played his cards, it makes him the perpetual victim and the hero at the same time. Like, I think he really sat back and thought about this. All the times where he wasn't participating and was, you know, the fourth wheel in the corner. I think he put a lot of thought into how this could play out. Like how it would benefit him in all the ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it was all luck that he, go ahead.
No, I think you're right. I mean, well, because we even talked about too, like him getting closer with Nick and then like Keanu and Gino, like he used April to get into there.
Yeah. And with Keanu and Gino, it was a thing where it was like when this started to go downhill, like I'd said before, Kiki didn't know. Gino didn't know that April was, they didn't know anything about this happening, not just with April, but with them as a couple. They knew they were hanging out, so forth and so on, but they were not so close that they knew, you know, that kind of business. So when this did start to dissolve and all this started to come out, what did Aaron do? He latched onto Gino and Keanu because he needed them on his team. So he has them coming onto a show several times a week, and that's like co-signing everything he's saying and vouching for everything that he says. He had to have that because otherwise they would be on April's team.
And Ashton Birdie got freaking people were bitching at her on Chrissy's stream when Aaron was on there because she was asking valid questions about like, well, where were the kids this whole time? Like, what do you mean? Like, what kind of responsibility do you have? And like, and Keanu was sticking up for him. And I don't remember who else was on there, but I just remember people starting to yelling at Ashton for asking questions. And I was like, why are you so quick to just believe everything this dude says? And why are you so quick to bash her when she's asking valid questions?
Yeah, I like Ashton. Oh, okay.
A lot of men lining up to fuck your soon-to-be ex-wife, it looks like.
What?
Sorry, I was gonna say I forget what that stream was, when that was.
It was Simpcast. It was Simpcast after I
Yeah.
left that night, wasn't it? Or it was like the next day.
It was after you. It was literally like 10 minutes after you left that night.
But it was the same night, wasn't it? Because Ashton was supposed to be on. She was in our little group chat because they make a little DM on Twitter where we can talk before the show and stuff. And then, because I know she wasn't there when I was there, and then Leanne and I left. And then when I watched the replay, Ashton was there, and she just didn't have her camera on the whole time. Right?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I didn't know if it was that night or not, but I think that's right.
It was, and I think it was a Sunday.
Yeah, they always do Sunday. Simpcast is always on Sundays.
Right.
But I feel like Aaron came back on Simpcast a couple days later. Also,
I think he did too.
Because didn't Alex Stein pop up over there when he was there? I don't remember. God, I've watched so much. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to find your face on her.
Oh God. Yeah, it was the one that had Pearl in the thumbnail, and I don't remember what else.
Okay.
They used to put our face on the thumbnail, but he's changed it. This would have been, hold on, I can tell you the date. Let me see. This would have been, let's say June 8th, somewhere early June, because this video right here was try June 1st, right in there somewhere.
All right.
No, I didn't say that.
Let me know if you found it.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Look, we all did what we did. We're all responsible for what we did. So you guys have your fun. You guys say what you. I mean, that's what I did. I set myself up for it.
All right, Ryan, give your
papers, Aaron. Are you going to divorce it?
Aaron, the sooner you admit this,
gentlemen, one at a time. Listen to me. I run the show one at a time. Now, Ryan, give your final thoughts here, and then I'm gonna let Shamu in. And Gamazin had something he wanted to say too, I think. But just I run the show and speak one at a time. Go ahead.
Look what you got to deal with now, Aaron. You're gonna get 15 minutes because you were chasing the clout. You have to relive Nick Rekieta sticking his dick in your wife, which you could have retained if you didn't throw her ass on air for clout in the first place. If you didn't pursue this relationship for clout in the first place, you could justify it all you want. But this is going to end. You know, the attention span of people is less than 48 hours. The super chats are going to dry up. You are going to have to rest on the laurels of doing the Steel Toe morning show, and you should have just did that and had it be good and done the biggest, best, most funny show that you could. So but you wanted to ride Rekieta's coattail, and this is what you're with now, man.
Don't talk about the thing that's going on in my life. That would be your advice. I can't do that, buddy. I'm sorry. I have to talk about
you did it. No, you said it was all quiet until what, 2 days, 3 days ago?
Well, you're being a little unfair. I mean, she clearly wanted to be on the air. I mean, you know, you guys are being a little unfair on that one. She clearly wanted to be out there.
Yeah, would I put a partner on the air ever again? No, absolutely not. My wife came.
Me either, by the way. But yeah,
let me say one thing while that's on the forefront of my mind. For anyone that watches this video, tell me if I'm wrong. Slam Peace's name is Adrian. And that sticks out to me only because I can remember watching a show before he started calling her Slam Peace, and he was talking about this new girl, blah, 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 Adrian. And he said it like 2 times in one of his shows. So just a log question. If you guys know, pretty sure Slam Peace's name is Adrian. I don't know why it's just sticking out in my head. So when he said that about April being a co-host and all that, I was thinking about, how long will it take before he brings this other girl on? And I've also heard people speculate that this girl, and the reason I say that about Adrian is because if it's the same girl that he had in between Ashley and April, they're all A-letter names, is Adrian. Then that means she's like the rebound girl after. That's like his go-to comfort punani. I don't know a nice way to say it without being really vulgar. His Slam Piece side piece. She would be the one that he keeps rebounding with, that he's comfortable with. But if that's true, then we should be able to go back even further, maybe sometime before or right after April, where he talks about someone named Adrian. Just throwing it out there for all the fun, like, nerd A-logs like I and Jackie are. Like we are. Okay.
Hated the job she was working. We were able to bring her aboard and do the show with her. I had a great time doing the show with her. The internet is a fucked up place, and it got her eventually, and I fucking couldn't help as much as I should. It just, it got away from us all. And it was it turned out to be a big fucking mistake. But at the time, My wife came to me. She loved doing a show with me. She hated her job. And I really thought we were doing a good thing by doing a show together. It turned out to be a fucking disaster.
I sympathize with that, actually.
Yeah.
But
no, Ryan, you know, you've got it. You know better, buddy. You got it.
I absolutely do know better. That's a ridiculous idea to think putting your wife on air would be a good idea.
When it's your turn, you're going to do a better job.
Right.
Absolutely, I will. I'm gonna make sure I do a good show and not try to put my wife on air and let another man fuck my wife for Clout.
All right, let's keep it moving. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. I'm glad you got your thoughts in there. Let's have you on again Friday if you're down. Thank you. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah. It's a little unfair. I mean, she clearly wanted to be on the air.
Right,
I mean,
okay.
Ryan's just kind of being cunty.
Now, Shamu, go ahead.
Yeah, Aaron, you said earlier that you said, quote, people around town were wondering about our relationship. And so I was just curious, did you ever attend church with the Rekietas at any time? Like, why would people be asking around town about your relationship?
I went one time. Yes. And I think April
when? When did you go?
Oh, fuck, dude. Do you mind if I keep the timeline kind of wide? Because I don't want to be wrong here.
Yeah, I mean, I have no way to prove you wrong anyway on the timeline.
Yeah, but I just want to be as close to
sure.
As
that's fine.
Do you remember seeing that little tiny clip of the Rekietas and April White on the end in church?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was always curious why more didn't come out showing, you know what I mean? That was like the one and only time I ever saw a video of that. Because I want to see Aaron there. Because that would give me a good idea timeline-wise when he actually was like, you know, waking up in their bed on Sunday morning.
Late February, early March. I'd say before Easter, after Valentine's.
So you did go to church with the Rekietas.
Oh, no. Do you want to watch it now or in a minute? If you've got your point with it, pull it up.
I did. I got it pulled. Actually, did it?
What?
Let's see. Let me get it to the timestamp, and then I'll send it over, and we can look at it.
You understand that establishes a connection with you in the church, and that's going to lead to more speculation that you ratted.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, look, I didn't go to any authorities and rat that way. Anything other than what was on my show, so I have no problem talking about.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just telling you that's what people will think.
But look, I mean, fucking assholes are already saying I did.
Sure, that's true. That's true. That's
no,
fair.
What does it matter to me? I'll talk about what I did. I mean, again, Ralph, I have nothing to worry about. Absolutely everything that's come out right now has been 100% what I said it was. And if shit keeps coming out, it's going to be 100% what I said it was. Why? Because it was my life. It's what I lived. It's what I saw.
So, Aaron, are you afraid of Nick filing a lawsuit against you?
No, I mean, I have receipts for absolutely everything. I mean, I you know, you name it. I mean, I can back up I mean, first of all, most of what I've been talking about was found in that search. So, I mean, right there.
$3 too bad the bike.
All right, so and then I'll I think Shamu dropped, but Tom Grossi says, "Too bad the Vikings suck," or you can move on to the sports grift, is what they say.
Right? Yeah, I could go.
All right, we have another caller here. Let's see. And I wanted it to be like this, actually.
Galactic sends
wait, let me get the super chat in first.
You didn't go to authorities and rat that way. Did you go to anyone in the parish and confide in them?
Okay, so Galactic says, when you say you didn't go to the authorities and rat that way, did you go to anyone in the parish and confide in them?
I honestly have not talked to anybody in their church. One guy recognized me from the show and shook my hand while I was there. Other than that, I didn't talk to anybody.
Bullshit, bro. Does anyone even watch your show?
Well, they haven't lately.
We had a big radio show in St. Cloud. That's where the guy knew me from, was the radio show. Yes.
Right. Did he know you from other such endeavors as like letting your wife get fucked by the lawyer?
Oh, yeah. It was that one too. Yeah, he probably saw it.
You're being so rude to this guest, Godwinson. I can't even believe this. I want to hear what drew him into this relationship.
It's all fair game. You know, everybody's talking about it. You know, everybody's discussing it. People get their time.
All right, Robert, go ahead, unmute yourself. Now let Perspicacity, since he wants to go into.
They don't get their time in his chat if they are questioning him about his domestic violence allegations. Then you get blocked.
Oh no! You need to shut that shit down.
Yeah, he said,
chat's on black.
Yep.
But
do
your work.
I'm
That's what he said. He said, yeah, he's kind of
down with that too. But go ahead, caller, get your thoughts in.
Yeah, I only really got one question. Earlier, he said he decided to go this route with the Rekietas because he heard about the reputation. How salacious is that reputation? How bad is it? How much did you kind of know before you even got into the situation?
Just the general idea that they had. They had been what's the word? They had been what's the fucking no. That they had been tangibly linked to it.
God.
I didn't know anything specifically. I just knew generally that they were tangibly linked to those kind of things.
And was this like talks with other creators, or where did you get this information?
Just the lore around the internet. I never talked to anybody about it.
What specifically did you hear and see?
That they were interested.
Yeah, because you're being very vague with your answer. Like, I mean,
no, you're asking me what I knew beforehand. That's all I knew beforehand. I'm not like a big,
But you had to have seen something, right? I heard something. Like, you're not giving the specifics of what you saw.
All I heard is that they were into that kind of lifestyle. That's literally all.
But how did you hear it? I guess is what I'm saying. Like,
because I'm sorry, yeah, when we did the comedy show with Chrissy Mayer, people in our chat would show up and go, "Oh, they're swingers. Oh, they're swingers. Oh, they're swingers."
All right.
That's about it. That's it. I mean,
fair enough. I was just saying you're being a little vague. I can understand.
But when people, it is a little frustrating because when you get people ask you questions and they want a certain answer, and when your honest answer isn't what they want, some of them lose their fucking mind. And you're like, dude, I'm sorry, I can't give you what you want. I have to give you what I know.
I understand how that goes. All right, Robert, finish up your thoughts.
All right, so you're saying basically around the time you met up with Chrissy at the comedy show, that's when people started bombarding the chat. You're saying that Chrissy didn't say, hey, these guys are known for this or that, or are you?
No, Chrissy never said that. No, this was all just, like I said, it was internet lore. It was in our chat and all that.
Well, I guess that's good enough for me. If it's good enough for everybody else, I'm just going to go head out and let you guys continue this great show. Have a good one, Ralph.
All right, thank you. Have a good one, too. All right, now, go ahead, Perspicasti.
Yes. So, because what I really want to know is, I'm not really all that interested in, like, oh, did you fuck her in the ass? How did you do? I mean, I imagine you did. But that's not what's important. I want to know about how this happened. So you meet the Rekietas at this Chrissy Mayer show. How do you get pulled in? What do they do? What's the first time you go to their house? What is that like? Does Rekieta just open like a suitcase full of drugs, or is it a slow burn? Do they pull you in slow?
Anonymous.
No, it's no, there wasn't like this, at least for me. I can't speak for April. I can't speak for anyone else. It wasn't this grooming thing or anything like that. It was, I'm my own guy, and you'll find that I don't really get, pushed around, thrown around. I made a decision in my life that came back to bite us all in the ass really fucking hard. And I, obviously I've been taking responsibility for that. I hope everybody does. It was a big fucking mistake. And there's nobody dog walked me into it. I dog walked myself into it.
Well,
there was
a
genuine
how does it happen? This happens a lot. This happens with a lot of people, right? I mean, this happens all the time. It's just not, like an internet sensation. Everybody's talking about it, but this happens all the time, especially with couples. They think, oh, we could swap wives. Oh, we're hanging out together. Maybe this could happen. We're drinking a little. We're doing a little coke. We're doing a little Molly, a little ecstasy. Things happen. How does that go down? Is it like all of a sudden, like, oh, you want to take a little ecstasy? We're in the hot tub. What is it? I want to know.
It's just not as like a lot of you have this idea that it was like a fucking movie. It really was like life, normal, and then here's these other things sprinkled in over time. It wasn't like there were these giant movie scenes that happened where these big steps were taken. It was all it was gradual. I mean, what's the old saying? It was
slow boil. Yeah.
No, well, it was what was it? The term, I think the phrase like it happened over a long period of time and then all at once.
Well, Aaron, who was the first person to bring drugs into the equation? Was it you?
No, that would be, we were out to dinner. We came back to our house and Nick did.
So Nick was the first
Nick had
one
a little what do you call the bullet?
And what's that for the audience at home?
Just a little, it's a little container. It's, and you can, kind of get a little up the top and you can take it that way. You can open it up and pour it out. And that was the first exposure, if you will.
Were you reticent to take it or were you just hoovering it up?
Oh God, no, I took like little baby bumps at a time. I was
now there are some people questioning. Hold on, wait. There are some people questioning like that you're minimizing your drug use.
Was there like an anticipation that this was going to happen, or you went into this totally like in a state like we're going to be friends, we're going to hang out, it's going to be fun, or was there always a thought in the back of your head like maybe they want a party, maybe I could fuck his wife?
There was at least I don't know when I got this feeling, but I do remember getting the feeling of like be careful, this could get away from you. I don't know. I obviously didn't listen to that voice, but I do know at one point early on I did have that impulse, but I didn't check it.
All right. Now we have there was a super chat that came in, and I'll ask that. Some have been saying, this is anonymous by the way. Some have been saying Aaron looks and acts like an older, fatter flamenco. People are saying this. What do you think? I don't know if you know flamenco.
I'm not. I know the name. I'm not with you. I don't know. I'm not familiar.
Okay. Now let me let the next caller in here. Go ahead, JD Power. After it connects, if it connects, go ahead. Unmute yourself. If you can, then yeah. Now go ahead.
Hello?
Yep. Go ahead.
Just curious on like how much blow do you think like you guys were doing in like just say like a weekend type style? Like how hard did it go?
I don't. It's a question that's too specific for me to be able to answer. I don't.
You're asking the nerd. You're asking what? I'm just saying. You're asking like
too specific answer for a question for you to answer. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Did you need a more vague question?
Well, look, it's like this. Was it this much? Was it this much? Was it this much? Like, how much did you see? And we've also heard him tell stories about walking into the bathroom and April having like a mountain of it, chopping it up with 2 different cards. So even if you didn't know, you could guesstimate and be like, I don't know, probably around what they bought. But he's also made statements saying that that's around how much Nick would pick up at a time, and if he had to guess, that they had probably partied off of what was found at the house, allegedly what was found at the house. So no, he's not going to be like, oh, he would pick up 8 grams at a time or whatever, an ounce at a time, but he knows. But that also makes me think that though he may have walked in while they were doing things like what he was saying with April, like that sounds very specific. I believe that probably happened. That, Nick had a couple. We also knew Nick had 2 safes, 2 little lock boxes. I think the ketamine and all that was in the other one because he said he never saw it, and I believe that. I think that they kept certain things away from Aaron on purpose because Aaron was a dork. Aaron could not be trusted. And that was another gripe that he had at one point with the text messages, was that Nick was really mad because Kayla had given him the Proverbs book, and he had lied about like not reading the chapters because it was at their house or whatever. So Nick did not trust Aaron. I'm sure that permeated through the rest of this relationship between the 4 of them. So, of course, Nick is not going to show all his cards and let Aaron know how much he's picking up, how much he has, how much is in this spot or that spot of the house, So, I don't know. I believe it. I believe Aaron had no idea, number 1. Number 2, he doesn't, this is not his, realm. He probably has no idea the difference between, whatever, a 20-sack and an 8-ball or whatever it is, right? Like, he doesn't know the difference between an 8-ball and an ounce or 2 ounces or a kilo or however you buy it. But I'm just saying he probably has no clue how much Nick ever had. And honestly, it's probably like when they did party, because he said, oh, I only took a couple bumps and, here and there I'd take a little bit. Like a bullet, that's basically what a bullet is, right? Like at the top of it or whatever, it's like enough, I guess, for like a single dose or however you want to say it. So it's just tiny, tiny little bit or whatever that comes out of it, unless you open it, like he said, and cut lines. So he probably only saw, little tiny itty bitty amounts that Nick happened to have and let him have every now and again, rather than them throw down like Scarface style and everybody pull up a straw and get on their knees and but yeah, anyway, for those 2 reasons, I think it's probably right. He probably has no idea like what was moving through there.
It kind of makes me feel, after watching the spa stream and like just hearing a little bit of this though too, it's like that they would, so it's according to Aaron, it's all his idea that they got together. So, Nick and Kayla were grateful because they brought April along and she just fit better in the family and they needed to kick his ass out.
And she was like, she was supposed to sort of be part of the, replacing the nanny. They were like, this works because, I don't know. But we know that wasn't a thing because the house was gross and kids weren't being fed and allegedly they didn't have clean clothes. And so I don't know, man. I don't know what was happening at that house. But I will say this, the body cam footage.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Body cam footage.
Yeah, somebody, there was an update from Joshua Moon from Kiwi Farms that I don't know if it's the sheriff's department or who they're asking for that, probably the sheriff's department, but the authorities are working on getting it all in one place. That there were like 14 body cameras or something that day. And so they're having to go through and like pixelate the children's faces and stuff to like redact it. But that basically it's being transcribed, I guess, or it's being transferred over. Like the files are working to get into the hands of those who requested it, which I'm assuming is Josh Moon and Kiwi Farms.
So maybe by the time you guys actually see this, it'll be out. We don't know.
Hope so. I'm curious what we'll see.
Crazy.
All right.
I'm really curious too.
Oh, sorry. God, sorry. My mouse went insane. What do you think the big, like, oh my gosh, is going to be from it? Just like the state of the house? Because we already know that Nick like saw the warrant, like threw it down and told him to fuck off or whatever he said. So that's not surprising.
I think it is going to be when they finally get into the door and then there's like the confrontation between Nick and the police about not letting them in. And
that was on, go ahead. That was on the outside of the home though, because they had originally pulled Nick over and looked through his car and his person. And then they asked him then at the traffic stop, what the code to the door was. and he wouldn't give the code up to for the door. And I don't know if they escorted him or what. I think it's in there actually, but they made it back over to the house and were outside of the home. And they had asked him again whether or not he would, let them in. He said no. And they, kicked the door in because the little girl had answered the door. So there were cops at the traffic stop with Nick looking through all his stuff and trying to get the door code. At the same time, there were officers at the house, like knocking on the door, trying to get in. So I'm going to hit play.
Right.
Do what you got to do.
Right.
I'll be right back.
Thank you.
I don't know measurements. I don't know.
No, you're fine. You're fine. That's why I'm trying to hurry and get through it. All right. I'll be right back.
How much they
Right.
Who was
have.
taking the most blow?
Who was hitting it the hardest?
From what I saw Nick do the most, but that doesn't mean he was doing the most. Again, everything I say is what I saw, my eyeballs. I'm not saying he did the most. I'm saying I saw him do the most personally.
Now, obviously, that does beg the question. Now, a lot of people have been asking, was there any homosexual entanglements with Rekietas? And obviously, if you're looking at Nick doing more drugs than your own wife and the other bitches around you, that kind of does feed into that. Were there any homosexual interactions?
No, there was nothing gay going on.
Was there almost gay? Was there like?
No, there was not almost gay. There was a healthy amount of immature homophobia, I think, in the whole thing.
No accidental touching or anything.
No accidental touching.
Yeah.
Did Nick ever throw a pass?
No.
Neither give you an eye?
No, neither of us were into that sort of a thing.
You had anyone come out and Nick is looking at you.
I know you want Nick to be gay.
No, I'm playing with
necessarily.
Well, I do feel it's apt to ask this as we're on this question. Was it always protected sex, or were you shooting blanks into Taylor?
Well, I've had a vasectomy, so there was no, I've had 3 kids.
Yeah, you're shooting blanks. Was Racket shooting his breast load? I mean, he's got 5 kids. Was he going into your wife, or?
I don't know, and I didn't care to know.
What if he had gotten your wife pregnant? Was she on?
That would have been a fucking disaster, and I might have been arrested for homicide.
Was she on birth control, or like is that going too deep with it, or like?
Was she on birth control?
No.
Okay.
Whoa.
Oh, fucking hell.
Well, you were in a very dangerous situation then there, brother.
You fucking think?
Well, I'm saying you're letting him possibly, shoot off in your wife. Like, that could have happened.
If you watched any coverage of mine, of this whole thing, there is not any one part of it that I'm telling people to go out and do because it's really
I'm not saying you're advertising it, but I just didn't realize that it was. I would think.
I'll be honest, Ralph. He's a great advertisement for his wife. Where can I sign up?
No, anyway. All right, JD Power, get your final thoughts in.
I got one more question. What like when you found that little bullet of coke in your house around the kids, like
allegedly,
what did you do? Did you just call him up and allegedly, like did you was he there and you just fucking waited out on him, or like you call him up?
I lost my fucking mind. I yelled, everybody get the fuck out of the house, leave, get the fuck out of here, sent my kids outside to play, and just fucking lost it. That was because I had asked very early on when Nick was over at my house. My kids were not home. Nick took out the bullet again, and he put a little bump or a small line out on my kitchen counter and just did it. And I just looked at him. I said, what the fuck are you doing? I go, what the fuck? I go, I got 3 kids that come here. If my ex-wife found out there was a fucking speck of this shit, I'm going to lose my fucking kids. Don't ever bring it in my house. My house was a known no drug zone. I was not.
It was all right doing his house with 5 kids being homeschooled.
That's a fair question.
Yeah, no, that's not only a fair question. That's an accurate statement of how we treated it. It's fucking dog shit, and we have a lot to atone for, and we fucked up big time. None of us are innocent. Bad parents, bad spouses, bad everything.
But it was okay to do coke around his kids at his house, but not at your house.
Not around his kids. I will say this.
Well, not around his kids, but at the same house as his kids. Yeah,
just making sure you
right. Yeah, I know you guys weren't snorting up lines in front of the kids, but it was at the house with the kids there, allegedly, according to you.
Allegedly. I mean, they found.
Well, I'm putting allegedly because I'm playing this neutral, and I
get it. The cops found it at the house, and the kids were home. I mean, obviously.
But you see why some might say, like,
yeah, but that's just it. If this had happened a couple of weeks prior to when the arrest actually went down, that exact same situation could have happened at Aaron and April's place with their children there. And Aaron does not, like, for whatever reason, that's not like coming to his brain at all, that could have just as easily been him, which leads me to believe, like, with the timing and stuff, I really feel like Aaron had more to do with the setup of this than he's ever going to admit to. Like, he got out just in the nick of time, he knows. I don't know.
It's okay at his house with all these kids, but not yours.
Yeah. Did you feel like there was designated zones, like clearly this bathroom and this master bedroom were like the designated zone?
It was more like I had a set of rules for my house, and I didn't feel like I could set rules for other people at their house.
Did you let Nick cook your wife at your house?
I would have loved it if cocaine never entered the equation. That would have been fucking great, but that's not the way it was.
All right,
did Nick cook your wife at your house, or was that off the rules?
You are fucking obsessed with the sex part, dude. You got to get the You got to get that checked on, buddy, because you're sniffing way too much dick, buddy. You're sniffing everybody's dick in this.
Well, you were just on the Kino Casino, and they did they did worse than what we're doing on.
Oh, they sniffed my dick too. Everybody's dick sniffing.
But you put your dick out there to be sniffed, right? Like, I mean,
there's a lot of you're right.
You stuck your dick out and said, "Hey, sniff it," and so now people are asking these questions, right?
But there's a lot of repetitive questions.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I understand.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Let's move off that. Let's take a caller. Let's see. Go. Let's see when we can connect. Go ahead, caller. Unmute yourself, please.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was wondering about the Nick and April in the stream, the bunker stream, so to speak. Was there the logistical possibility for April to be under that desk?
No, I mean, just the way that desk is and the way the equipment's set up and everything. I know that's like popular lore right now. And mind you, I wasn't there at that time. I'd been gone for a while by the time that stream happened. But no, it's just not, it's not feasible.
Was there a hole in the back of the desk she could have crawled under?
No, I'm just talking about the amount of gear and wires and physical stands and things like that that are in there. There's just not a way. Without hearing, there's no way to get to where you would need to be without it making like audible noise. Like that,
like the noise.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that.
When they turned up that noise all the way, you would have heard a lot of knocking around of shit and moving of things. I mean,
when I got my dick sucked on air, I pressed mute so that it couldn't be heard. You know, and went off camera. But
now
I have got my dick sucked on the Killstream live. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my table here. Yeah, my table here. It is possible. I think there's clips of there up, unfortunately, of having it done. It's a little more wide.
Yeah, that's why I took the camera off and the mic.
And then, as for the children, is it true that their clothing was just unwashed, that they were walking around for days in the same set of clothing?
And I can tell you this, like I said,
is this Lord of the Flies with you serving out spaghettios?
All right, and thank you, caller, by the way. Go ahead. Yes.
That must have been something that fell apart in the last 7 or 8 weeks, because I never saw the kids wearing like 3 or 4 day old clothes or stinking or anything like that. Like I mean, the kids always had clean clothes on and everything else. I don't know. But then again, I've been gone for almost 2 months, so who fucking knows?
Did the kids know about what was going on in the house, or was it all kept from them, Aaron?
It was kept
with the nanny the whole time.
I will tell you this: there was that was kept away. I mean, any of that kind of stuff that was going on was either when the kids were out of the home or late after everyone had gone to sleep and everything. There was never any of that being done just irresponsibly. Well, I mean, it's irresponsible as you can get. But like,
the kids were asking some sort of questions.
One at a time. Yeah, let's.
Again, you guys, it wasn't this fucking movie that you have in your mind or anything.
But I think it's very interesting, and it shows their state of mind, whether he was a sober one or not, or under the influence or whatever, that they would honestly think that none of those children had any idea what was going on. They've got a different couple basically living in the Rekietas house. He's got, he's bringing his kids over there. Their like ages of their kids go from 3 with Aaron's all the way up to 16 with Nick's. There were children, in an age range who would be paying attention and like to the point where they could maybe pinpoint exactly what was happening. And then there were younger children who at the very least were like, who are these other people? Like what? Why are they sleeping in mommy and daddy's bed? Why are they like trying to help cook food? And I don't know. It's just really strange but to me, it shows their state of mind and how much of an afterthought the children were. And it really bugs me that even today, like listening to this with him, that he in his brain thinks that the kids had no idea because they were either out of the house when a lot of the drug usage was going on or had already gone to bed. Well, if that's the case, that's probably one of the several times that you stayed over that night. And he said that like they got up in the morning and were walking into the kitchen. And like, if I were a kid, it wouldn't matter if I was 3 or 16. I would at least know that wasn't normal. Like, it's just weird that he's like, no, they were oblivious. They had no idea. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very.
And also,
I'm I'm going in.
To even think like just because the kids are young that they have no idea that it's a weird situation.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Of course they would. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not and it's funny too, because that's what actually his Aaron's first wife's books were written about, was like when the family split up and what that's supposed to look like and what everybody's role is and that kind of thing. So it's funny that like that Aaron would be like, oh, well, the kids had no idea. I'm sure that they thought that this was like totally normal, that couples just do this. Couples just party all the time and stay at each other's houses and basically move in. That's what he said one day.
Right.
He was like, well, we basically lived over there like 4 or 5 times a week. We'd stay over, and they wanted us to move into the spare house. And like, come on, man. Like, how much further would this have gone? I wonder. Like, if it's not the case that, you know, he really thought about this and realized that this was the way to get out of his marriage with April, and things were still going smoothly and there was no issues with, you know, around all 4 of them. How much longer would this have gone on? Would they have eventually moved into the spare house, moved the children over there, or like on the weekends or whatever when he gets them, like just bring them over there, and now it's the 4 adults and the 8 children? Like, how would that's like a compound or something over there, right? Like, not a cult, but like, what is that? That's so weird. I wonder though how much further it would have gone if like this hadn't started to fragment. Yeah.
Maybe they would have started like their own little commune or whatever, and they would have like started to integrate more people from the church. Be like, no, it's okay. Like, come over here. And then they would have put like Nick on a pedestal or something like that.
That's so weird. No, I don't think so, because from what we know with the affidavit, a lot of this, I mean, it was reported, the mandatory reporter was the pastor. You've got in the affidavit, one of the people who were named is one of the preschool teachers, I think, in the co-op, in the school's co-op, and that was church, and then the parents. So I don't know. I guess my point is
maybe
that
maybe Nick got kicked out because he was trying to convert people to his commune.
Who knows? Who knows? With this story, anything's possible.
You standing there making me spaghettios, and I'm like, who are you? What's going on? Like, can you explain this to me? You know, and there's another woman there as well. You know, it must be confusing for a kid, right? I don't think that's unreasonable.
Again, you're asking me to theorize on something, and that's uncomfortable I'm doing. I can only talk to you about what I experienced, and no kid ever asked me any weird, strange questions about them.
Or just like, who are you? Did the kid ever ask who are you? What are you doing with the
kids? No, we were introduced to the kids early on, and they got to know us, and I mean, yeah.
Okay. Now, there were allegations in the search warrant of track marks or track-like marks on Rekieta's arms. Personally, I pressed X to doubt on that. But did you ever see him do anything like that? I don't.
Never once.
Yes.
Never once.
So even you aren't running with that.
Yeah.
Look, man, look. I hate who Nick became, and I hate that he's not taking responsibility for it. This man was a friend of mine. Like, I did like this guy, and when he's sober, he's not a bad guy. But man, those fucking demons that he's got really turn him into a completely different person. And I just want these people, you know, to just fucking snap out of it. I want them, you know, I'm going through a lot of emotions with this, and I thought maybe I could work through them on air. And I told you, Ralph, privately now that I'm really starting to feel that that's not possible, and I'm spiraling a bit.
Well, you've got Alex Stein next, Aaron. I mean, you want to keep
I'm going to honor the two commitments.
He trashed you.
I thought you would.
He trashed you pretty hard in the clip that we
were. Ralph, I'm sure he did. I can't fucking listen to everybody who.
Well, you were there in the chat. Like, that was the first time April met Rekieta, and he's calling you. He's like, how did you get? How did you get with Aaron? Like, oh my God, she saw you're so out of his league. And
Alex and I. Yeah, Alex and I have spoken a lot since then. I've been on his show. He's been on mine.
Okay,
and,
fair enough.
Yeah, no, we've worked that out. Kind of like Gino Bisconti and I in real life are very good friends. We started out just shitting on each other. But he's a good guy too. I'm going to do these 2 shows, and then I'll keep it to my show because I'm fucking overexposing myself like crazy and didn't realize it until I looked at all the bookings I've been doing. And number 2, you know, this is going to end. Like, the coverage of this is all going to be done. I got to get back to doing my fucking show at some point. The only thing is, my show is talking about my life and talking.
It's July the 5th, and we're definitely not talking about it on the show. He's got to get done with that. He's got to get done with it. Back to the news.
I think he might be as done as he can be with it because of what came out about him, and now he's like, oh shit, well, I can't really talk about it now because then people are going to be asking me about the stuff that came out about me.
Definitely for a while. Anyway.
I'm saying when this airs, and it will already have been the week that like I want to see if Keanu goes back on the show, or if Giano
that's their Brangelina name.
Yes, Giano. If Gino goes back on the show, so it'll be interesting to see.
I have heard that Gino is not going to go back on the show, at least for the foreseeable future, because he is with Compound Media and signed, like they're merging with Censored TV, which is Gavin McInnes's. So McInnes's. they are merging and his schedule's getting ready to change, whatever. So from what I have heard, I don't know. I mean, today's Friday and I don't think he even did a show. I don't think Aaron did a show today, but Fridays were normal days for Gino to come on. But yeah, so for the foreseeable future, I don't know whether he'll be on or not. And based off what Aaron said, his conversation with Keanu was, it was all great. And she was telling him, like, don't listen to the, they're all just your haters and all that. It would be interesting. And I'm curious to see if she'll be there next week.
But Keanu did do a stream when she was in the Dominican talking about how she did finally get a text from April.
Yes.
She didn't, and she said she didn't disclose the text. She said that she wasn't going to disclose the text, but she would make a formal statement about everything after she got back from vacation. But she said that she's 100% behind April. So
didn't she also say that she started crying just at the fact that April had written her at all or had finally responded to her?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what. Go ahead.
I'm wondering. I mean, it must be a really hard position to be in, but still, girl.
It would be, but look where she stood up to this point. You know what? Here's an interesting thought. Before, her defense was, well, I haven't heard from April. What do you want me to say? I don't know what to say. That's exactly what she said. I haven't talked to April, so I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. So for the past several months, not knowing what to say and not knowing what to do because she hasn't heard anything from her friend, what has she chosen to do? She has chosen to go on Aaron's show several times a week, and then also discuss it on her show, on Simpcast, wherever. So it would be interesting to see now that she's heard from her friend where she stands. Are you still going to stand and back up Aaron? Are you going to back up April? Are you going to be, completely lukewarm?
Right.
What's it going to be?
I know.
I wonder if April told her off too. Why would you do this to me? Why would you keep going on there?
I would. If that were me, be like, what the heck, bro?
We'll never know. But maybe, I mean, I don't know. Keanu's read private messages before, so maybe one day we'll find out. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how she plays this next week. And I think that's exactly why she chose not to discuss any of it while she was down there. Because she said something like, I'll talk about it whenever I get back. I'm not going to talk about it down here. I think she needs the time to figure out what she's going to do and how she's going to play this next card.
Yeah. And hopefully she runs it by April first. And she wants to keep that friendship.
She won't, or she would have done that. Yeah, but she would have done that. Here, like I said before, if you really think about it, the fact that all of this was like a huge surprise to both Gino and especially Keanu, and that's supposed to be like one of her close friends. You got to look at that and be like, man, I guess we weren't that close because she would have confided in me and I would have known about this stuff. I would have known about all the shindigs and escapades and whatever. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know why she would all of a sudden have an allegiance to April when she should have had her back to begin with. Like you said, oh, I wonder if she would have, asked first, talk to her and be like, is it okay if or whatever? Is it cool if I keep doing this? If I back you up a little or I defend you more or whatever she might have said. Was really April's friend, she would have known about this to begin with, let alone she would never have to be like, is it cool if I go on here and just, do this show with Aaron if I just skirt around whenever they talk about this situation? She should have known that this was happening and she didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird to me. That entire dynamic is weird to me. And it also makes me wonder if April is reaching out to be like, I'm still going to come to your wedding, right? I can still be your bridesmaid, right? What is the conversation? Right?
Yeah.
What did they talk about? Oh
man, that would be crazy.
What if they both show up over there? April and Aaron both show up.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. All right, let's try to finish this up. And let me know when you want me to do that other little clip. We can do it at the end or whenever.
Okay. Yeah, let's just do it at the end.
Okay.
talking about the news. And like I said, my life is the news. The news is my life at the moment.
I can tell you this for a fact: it's not going to end anytime soon. And
this will be with you forever.
Yeah, Ralph has been dealing with this for years.
Right. Well, scandals and stuff like that, like it'll be with you forever. But I'm saying there's more coming down the line. Rekieta's going to come back and stream. All this stuff's going to happen. Like it won't just go away. And by the way, caller, you can stop requesting. You've already called in, so we're doing our thing here. If somebody else wants to call in, no disrespect, but
let me say this one more thing too, since on this subject. Rekieta just went on Ethan Ralph's stream the night before last. Today's the 5th. Today's the 5th. That's when we're recording this. So he just went on that, and Ethan Ralph was on for like 5 hours before Nick even came on and was blitzed out of his mind. It was a horrible interview. I think he even took it down. I think I heard this morning that Ethan Ralph had taken it down, but of course it's already clipped. Alyssa Clips has it, and I'm sure actually Kino Casino did a lot of coverage on it too, so if you want to see bits and pieces of that, but that was supposed to be an exclusive interview, and the first interview that official interview that Nick gave when all this went down. He was going to give it to Ethan, and Ethan, what is it, screwed the pooch. Yeah. So anyway, just had it there then.
Man.
Already had your call in. But yeah, I mean, there's more to come. Like this thing is still got a lot of burn on it.
Well,
wait. Let him answer. No,
I really hope that because I heard something today about he was going nuts in some group chat or something and saying stuff he shouldn't. I really hope that before he does any kind of comeback or anything like that, he goes and gets help. He goes and gets sober, and he does it the right way, because he's facing very serious shit right now, and he can't be slipping up. I really just want the fucking guy, and I want Kayla, and I want April. Well, April isn't facing any charges. I just want everyone to fucking get clean. That's it. That's all I want.
All right, I'll let Gomison pick it up after this, but Wigger Wagner says, if Nick writes a book, will Aaron also put out a book? Was his question. Then one more, and then I'll let Gomison pick it back up.
But nah, I mean, I don't have any desire to write a book.
Okay.
No.
All right. Now, this is from JQZ. He says, this fucking snake should have spoken up way sooner. He didn't even need to report it to the police. His big fucking mouth did the job. LOL. You're a slippery fuck trying to act like you weren't involved in this, is what he said. I don't know if you're trying to act like you weren't involved, but maybe saying trying to minimize. I don't know. I don't think.
No, I'm telling you exactly what I did. Every single thing I did. I don't think, doing Molly every other weekend is not exactly me saying I'm innocent. Doing coke 3 or 4 times, not exactly saying I'm innocent. Saying that we didn't do enough to help the kids, saying that I was a bad husband, a shitty dad for a while there, is not pretending I'm innocent. I just can't cop to things I didn't do. And also, I should have gone to anyone sooner. He's saying I'm a snake that should have gone somewhere sooner. I'm not disagreeing with you, sir. I believe I've been saying that this entire time.
You did say that, to be fair. Now go ahead, Gomison.
So I'm just kind of like trying to wrap my head around this. I know you're going to ask normal, but to everyone else, everyone else,
you're going to ask about somebody's cock. I bet you're going to ask about somebody's cock.
No, I'm just going to ask quite simply, Aaron. Like, how do you get out of this? Because what you're recounting is like normalcy to you, but to everyone listening, it's like, holy shit, you opened up your wife, you did all this stuff, you're on these shows now, you're feeling remorse now, you're going to like sigh in a moment and do the same thing again, and then you're going to do it over and over again on your show. At what point do you go, let me recalibrate? Because I know you think you have, but I don't think you have, right?
No, it's what I went through is really fucked up. Pretty much every.
What are you going through now?
It's still happening.
It's still happening. It's not like it's in the past.
Okay, guys.
Let him answer.
It's still fucked up. Like I don't know what the right way is. Like I have no fucking idea. I'm white knuckling this whole thing, and I have no idea how to fucking handle it, because, like you said, as I now get back to regular life, everyone I talk to is like, "Holy shit, dude, this is fucking insane." And I'm just starting to realize now in the last week or two, the last month or so, just how fucked up what I did was, and what we all went through was. And it's hard to use the word recalibrate. I think that's a great way to put it. I don't know how to recalibrate yet. I was talking.
So hold on. He's just now figuring out how crazy this was, and how wild of an idea it was, and how reckless and crazy and irresponsible and all that. But wasn't that his reasoning for getting out? Like he realized, like, oh, this is too much, and I shouldn't be doing this, and this is going downhill, and I got to get out of here. So which one is it? Is it you realize that, and that's why you got out, or is that because they were sick of you and
he was sick of being alone in the corner watching everybody else have a good time?
I'm just saying, like, how is it all of a sudden now you get it? Like now all of a sudden he's getting it, and I didn't know until I got away from it. But at this point he had been away from it for how many weeks, according to him, right? So it's like
according to him it was like 6 to 8 weeks.
So why did it take that long and a media tour before you started to realize, like, what you had been doing? What?
Well, but you also have to take in consideration again that morning is when he read off the application for a search warrant. So he is talking with a lot more compassion and concern for the other people involved than he, after this, he doesn't.
But
like
again,
the next days and stuff like that. No.
But
Lucy,
just like when we were watching it and it was like it dawned on him that the kids were in harm's way. Like it's
yes.
To your point, like him just like the weight of it coming down on him. I mean, that he was out of the situation for X amount of weeks, and that didn't dawn on him any of that time. It didn't dawn on him that, like, having seen it firsthand, that when he left that scenario, that and he said it several times, that it looks like it increased and ramped up and got worse, like after he left. Like that entire time, the children not one time crossed your mind.
Right.
I don't know.
He's like, fine, they can have each other. I don't care.
100% he is. 100%. And I think, for someone like Mubi, rejection is like the worst. It's a nail in the coffin. Like it's over if someone completely rejects you like that. He cannot have it. And that's why, like, it's not that he's a people pleaser. He will twist whatever he needs to, depending on whoever's around. Like he'll twist reality for that matter. Right. And what he says and what he does.
To give them the reaction or that they want to have towards him.
Or create it.
Yeah. Right.
So it's just interesting that
I need a new chair. This one's so uncomfortable. Okay. But yeah, it
never dawned on him though. I know. Is it not something else? I have never seen anyone ever like it. It's almost well, no, I won't say that because I'm not a doctor or anything, but it's interesting. I have never seen so many weird characteristics all in one human body. What's Lucy want?
Yeah, I mean, that I know she wants to get out because Daddy's home, and no, she's got to stay here. He's taking the kids to the pool. Like, you gotta stay here. Sorry, girl. He can't handle all three of you at once. Like,
right? Too many kids.
But too many kids. And oh shit, I was gonna say something and I forgot.
We're talking about Mubi and just being a shit parent, and all of a sudden, just basically that. Go ahead. You got it?
No, but it is really, it's funny to watch how his attitude towards everyone is different in this interview and compared to how harsh it was the day before on Kino Casino. And then as days go on his own show, it's like it took him one day and then he was over any compassion that he had again. And he was back to yelling into his microphone about how much he hates Nick Rekieta.
Yes. Just a second ago, he was like, all I want is for them to just get clean and healthy and back on track. Do you know how many times since this interview, he has been like, they need to do time. They should never get their children back. They need to, even if it's just a couple of years, Nick should, be behind bars. Like it's really strange. It really is like his lawyer spoke to him the night of Kino Casino and was like, dude, you have gone overboard. I know you're getting ready to do this next interview. Play it cool. Like, I don't know, man. All right, let's finish up.
Aaron, has your therapist or anyone in your life, whoever it is, your support network, has anyone actually gone, don't do these shows, don't go on Alex Stein?
No, nobody said that. Lawyers, everyone else, they're like, look, just stick to what you've done and everything else. One thing I will say is a very good friend of mine that I've been talking to a lot. I did pitch the idea. I talked to them. I go, I feel like I'm doing too many shows. I feel like after this Ethan Ralph and Alex Stein thing, I should just fucking lock it up and do my own show and try to start phasing back in the normal elements of my show. The problem is so much other shit keeps coming up. After Ralph here and after Alex Stein, that's got to be it.
Guitar Anthony sent 5
for doing other shows because it's a bad look and I'm fucking trying to navigate it and it's hard day to day. Like guys, I'll tell you, off the air, I think the reason I've been on the air so much is because off the air, this is a constant struggle. And at least making some jokes every once in a while or getting in some fights or whatever is an escape from being inside of my own head with this whole thing all throughout the day.
I actually completely understand that. Not your situation exactly, but going through a divorce, all this stuff, on air is like a refuge somewhat.
It's a refuge, but it's also remarkably unhealthy.
Yeah, it is. It's unhealthy too when you start talking about it because you're just feeding too much, feeding too many bad people.
And then Godwinson wants to talk about you and your wife fucking all the time.
Well, I mean, you put it out there, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know you're joking, but it's like, you can't really blame him, right? Anton says, when the photos, this super chat, when the photos come out of Aaron smiling ear to ear on MDMA, will he change his story? Is what he said. I don't know.
What did I say I wasn't on MDMA? I think
are there photos then, Aaron, that you're aware of? Did you all take photos together?
I mean, we have photos of us out and about, like, and stuff like that. I don't think we took photos of like us just, hanging out at the house doing karaoke or anything like that. And then there's the hot tub stream and all that. I mean, no, we took pictures of us, all of us together and all that.
Well, you implied you had nude pictures of his wife on one of these shows.
Oh, I'm talking about pictures that,
Well, I'm talking about nude pictures.
I'm talking about pictures that I would feel comfortable coming out.
Well, I'm not saying put them out. Don't do that would be my advice. But what I'm saying is you implied you had that type of photography.
I think all of us have some pictures to some degree.
Okay.
Now, whether it was before this or after, I don't remember, but he has spoken specifically about pictures that he has of Kayla. Like, and he's even made the point of, if I were to share anything like that, it would be considered revenge porn.
When you're in the, I mean,
you're in
look, you ever been in, when you're in a new relationship, what do you do?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, there's some picture exchanges.
Yeah, I know what you mean too, and I won't get into it. Now, let me ask this question from us, an inside joke there, but from Guitar Anthony, that's a little sector lore. Guitar Anthony says, say Kayla divorces Nick and says she wants to marry you. What do you do? Have you hoped this would be the end result?
No. I mean, we're talking about 8 kids, 1 roof, and all that. No. The only way any of these relationships were going to work was the way we were doing it, oddly enough, and they can't work that way. So this was, I mean, to me, and when I left, I said the same thing. I said, this was all doomed to end badly from the start. I said, this was all doomed to be, I mean, this is a disaster. And, I got a text from Kayla Monday where she said, you were right.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go into all that. Just let's leave the text. Let's leave the text out of that.
Hang on. I want to mark that date. So that would have been, calendar. That would have been the 27th, the day before. He said that he got a text from her this Monday. 28th of May was on a Tuesday. So 27th of May, supposedly he hears from Kayla. Text message.
Because they're not here to speak for themselves, I decided not to. I decided not to go down the road. Yeah. But JQZ said, "God bless the goal," and God bless the goal. Indeed, we are what I don't know, 38 away from hitting the goal. Very close there. Now go ahead, Gomson.
It was me. Excuse me.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to say. So you think that like the drugs and everything are a way? It makes it a lot more normal when you're in it because you're like constantly under this influence. You don't have to think about it. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that. I mean, maybe, you know what? Maybe a little bit, but also it's just when you introduce different forms of degeneracy, perhaps other forms of degeneracy don't seem as bad. You're already, basically we're already into it to this level. So what's this level? If you're already, to go from like, if you're at church on Sunday and you go, hey, let's trade wives, like that's fucked up. But if you go, let's go for a beer, let's have some coke, do this, let's do that. Like if it builds slowly, it's a little easier, I guess.
So you're saying it was a slow build?
That
like
slow,
it started out very normal, and then all of a sudden there was one night where things went too far, and then that became like the norm.
Yeah, again, we met in October, and none of this stuff. I mean, it was 2 months before any of that kind of stuff started.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Gomson, because I'm returning a message here.
Yeah, sure. So what made April stay? I mean, because you were in a loving relationship, I guess. What made us stay, Aaron?
Not at that point we weren't. No, at that point it was too far gone. We were just fighting fucking constantly, and when one person is on something and the other person isn't on that thing, there's no fucking way to communicate. You're not hearing each other. You're not, the way her brain works and the way my brain works is different. And if I talk to her about this problem, she perceives it as that problem, and vice versa. I hear her say something, I say it back to her wrong. I mean, 2 people that were like this went that way. I mean, and just went in different directions, and it just wasn't. We weren't the same couple anymore.
As a man, as a husband, right? You kind of play that proactive role where you can go, look, don't do the drugs. Look, come with me, come home.
Yes, right.
I mean, you take that proactive approach, don't you? Did you try?
And I did. Yeah, I did take that proactive approach. It clearly did not work. It was
did you really, or was it just like
no, absolutely. And it led to multiple just knockdown, drag out screaming matches in our home, in their home. I mean, it just got fucking nasty. And it just got, and I'm sure the way I communicated it to her once it got heated was probably fucking, ripped her apart. And then the way she talked to me fucked me up. And we both became 2 different people than we started out.
So these knockout drag out fights, is this like the next day after the first time happens? Do you wake up and you say, oh my God, what did we do? And then you have like this incredible reaction to it?
No, the thing her and I fought about was drugs.
Right.
Yeah, that's what her and I fought about. The other stuff, the more they fought with each other, the more we fought with each other, the more this is what made it so unhealthy, was our coping mechanism was each other.
Q_Jessel sent one.
So if you were fighting with your spouse, you'd go and talk to the other person about it. And that's remarkably unhealthy, but that other person comforted you and made you feel better, so you spent more time around them, naturally.
Here's a little take, and please shoot this down, Aaron, if you feel it's completely off the wall. So this is your idea by your own admission. You brought April into this, right? Now,
let me clarify one thing quick. I'm the one who verbalized it out loud first. I think it was kind of heading that way. Right. But I verbalized it first.
Whatever. But do you think that, and let's be fair to April here, do you think that she was consuming more and more drugs?
What? What? I'm sorry, I was typing something to somebody.
He's like,
what are you saying?
I didn't really do it. We were just heading more that way.
Towards splitting up?
No, towards swinging. How do you know? Like, I don't know. Oh my God, I can't.
It's like, yeah, that's like, I've never gone to bed like one way and woke up the next morning like, you know what? I think today I'm going to keep up, take up swinging, and then I'm going to just bring it up to my husband and he's going to be cool with it. Never once ever has that crossed my mind. No, that's what makes me wonder about, like, the pineapple tattoo that she's got and things like that.
I know.
It makes me wonder if this was the first time, because for Aaron to have that much courage to just throw it out there to Nick, and I've thought this before, like, it's almost as if he has some kind of experience in the situation enough to think it was even a thing. Like, if you'd never done it before and this was really going to be the first time, I don't know that I would be comfortable, like, not only hinting around at it, but just like straight up messaging them like, hey, so I was having this thought last night. What do you think?
Right, exactly. I have to go get her a bone because she's crying. I feel bad.
Bless. Okay, I'm gonna keep going so we can get done with this.
All right.
Pacify this to try and get rid of those thoughts where she's thinking, I'm in a marriage. I'm totally married to this guy, but he wants me to fuck other people. So do you think that's what made her take more and more drugs to try and like medicate herself to make herself okay with the normalcy?
I've thought about it, because maybe the closeness that Kayla and I were exhibiting, because the two of them did sit Kayla and I down on multiple occasions and say, when you two talk to each other, you don't hear anyone else, or, this and that. Like, there would be like discussions about, like, close to stuff like that. And maybe me, in my anger towards April when we would fight, maybe me flaunting my feeling, not flaunting, but, having these clear feelings for another person in front of her may have caused her more pain than she let on. Again, she never said this to me. This is my total speculation, 100%. But April is she's someone with that tough exterior. She'll put up that wall. So you don't think you're hurting her. You don't think you're doing anything to affect her. But I have thought in my own head multiple times since I left, wow, maybe me and this other person having these feelings, having this affection, maybe it.
You know what, though? If that were the case and it hurt her feelings, it broke, if she still loved Aaron enough for this, even to be a thing, and even if they weren't going to get along, and even if they were like getting ready to be divorced and going through that process, when he opened up the marriage by texting Nick and, I guess bringing the idea up, whatever may have been the glue holding these two together was gone that moment, because she knew at that point, if not before, at least at that point, that he was willing to share her with another man. Like, Kayla aside, if I were in April's position, and, even with the domestic violence allegations that are out and stuff now, with all that going on, if she were still trying to hold on to her vows, the second that Aaron basically, auctioned her off to another man, all of that went away. So from that point forward, she had absolutely no respect for him. What little bit she did have was now gone. And she knew that he did not love her or care for her enough to not, share her and bring her around these types of situations. So from that point forward, I don't think she cared. I don't think she cared at all, whether Aaron and Kayla were together and how they felt and whatever. I mean, that was, at that point, Kayla was taking care of her problem. How I feel.
Did weigh on her. Maybe it didn't, but I can't take.
It probably did, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
I would have to imagine. Also, Anonymous, he says uncivil law is not suicidal, and he linked a clip. I'll play that clip after. We still have about 30 minutes with Aaron here. And Huge Asshole says Godwinson is the new Tartsky. Whoa, Ashton. Whoa. No, I would never compare. Whoa.
Don't blink blog for.
Is he? Yeah. Where's the begging for money?
Yeah.
Just a quick question there, Aaron. How did you find that show then, when they're screaming super chats and you're just having to like sit there like, what the fuck is this? I'm sat next to a 600-pound lesbian and a retarded crackhead. What do you think there? Do you think you're in good company or like what?
Actually, the first time I saw their show was when they were making fun of our hot tub stream, and we watched it on our show and kind of made fun of ourselves. You know, we kind of just, I kind of went, I went, oh God, this is cringe. Oh shit, I am being really unfunny. Oh God, this was a terrible idea on my part. Oh fuck. You know, that was, that's where I first discovered their show. And it was actually like, I thought, you know, no offense, because again, I'm not involved in these internet beefs and everything, so I don't know how deep all this shit goes. When Ashton was kind of ripping us apart and everything, there were periods in it where I did laugh. And I was like, oh yeah, we are being, but that fucking hot tub stream is such easy fodder for humor. I mean, what can you do?
All right, now I have a few questions here, or at least one. Did Rekieta ever talk about Wilshire Boulevard or Coach Red Pill to Aaron?
No, see, like people, and this is where the clout chasing thing always kind of bothers me, because Nick and I never talked about streaming stuff. We just didn't. We were like, I mean, the guy and I, we were friends.
You're busy, yeah.
But yeah, we were busy. No, we were. I mean, we were. Yeah, we didn't talk about streaming shit.
Okay. Now, I guess, what's your biggest regret out of all this?
That's a long list.
Yeah, right. Opening up and scandalizing my marriage. I getting involved in drugs in any way, shape, or form. You know, and obviously what happened with and then my other regret, my personal regret outside of the group, outside of all of us, my biggest personal regret is not doing more. Like, I feel like I left a burning building. I didn't pull anybody out with me. I have a lot of that guilt. Again, I think the reason I'm streaming so much or being a guest and everything else is because when I get off the air, I'm fucking just bouncing around a lot of different shit in my head. And one of them I just can't seem to shake is that you fucking ran out and you didn't take anybody with you. Not that I didn't try, but you'll always be like, oh, well, that's a pussy excuse. You could have tried harder. That would probably be my scandalizing my marriage and not doing and not getting anybody
the
out.
only
When
ones
I left,
that
other than
didn't
myself
have
and
a
my children.
choice.
All right. Now, you know, the whole thing is just, like I said, this is not going to end. Rekieta's going to come back and stream and respond to a lot of this. Now, not the legal stuff, I'm sure. But what do you think he's going to say? Is he going to have some things to fire back at you?
You're going to be on the crosshairs, Aaron. For real.
I mean,
yeah, for real.
That's fine. Like I've ratted on myself. I mean, I've talked about everything I've done, and I'm not proud of a lot of it. So any criticism anything that he's going to throw at me is probably fair game from his perspective. Sure.
All right. Now,
I do genuinely hope that he's clean and he's getting healthy.
Well, he has to be because he took the more restricted probation, and so they piss tested him. I mean, theoretically, in theory, he has to be.
Right,
but he could have paid $50,000 with no restrictions on his bail. Instead, he took the more restricted bail, which I think was smart because it can show that he's sober. It'll help with getting his kids back. It'll help with possible plea deal and all this stuff.
I hope he does.
Yes, and I didn't understand why he did it first, and this is no inside information. I just figured it out. It's like, okay, it's better to have all that on record, right, for the courts. And so I think that was the smart play. But I do imagine he has to come back and respond to some things you've said, right? Like, I mean, if he's going to come back, which he is, he said he is.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's why I say this is not going to end anytime soon.
Well, no, and when I don't mean end, but I mean like the cycle of me just like every show being about this. Like I just want to start mixing in some of the other elements. You know, the crowds are going to get smaller and smaller, which is fine. You know, all of that.
It's all about his ratings. It's not about the
really
situation.
I'm talking my way through it. And
what did he say though? That it's about? Say it again. Because I was yawning.
It's all about his audience and his ratings and stuff. And that's all it is about.
Yeah, but like 3 sentences before that, he was like, it's not about the cloud. That's what really bothers me. Like, we didn't talk about other streamers. That has nothing to do with it. Like, if you're climbing the clout ladder or the wave or, you know, riding the clout wave or whatever it is, you're not like discussing what other lower tier streamers are doing, just lashing on to that, hoping that you can ride, you know, the Rekieta, whatever, clout wave. He just contradicts himself.
Yeah, because Rekieta has like what a deal with Rumble, right? He's like, well, maybe it being did. I had a maybe he could get like onto that too. Because I will say this, on Rumble, there's a lot more people on the Rumble chats that are very supportive of Aaron. The YouTube chat is completely different from the Rumble chat.
Yes. So are the numbers. Sorry, this hair
that's true too.
Itching my nose. Yeah, the numbers are kind of fudged and what's the word for it? Like bumpered, or that's not the word, but yeah, I think that may have had a lot to do with it actually, because Nick had really fallen off on YouTube, whereas at one point he was the highest, like most, or collected the most super chats than any other YouTube channel when he was going through all the trials and stuff. That was sort of shot, but he did have a full contract with Rumble that I think was a sizable amount, and I'm sure that Aaron was looking for a leg up, and
yeah, for sure.
I think that was worth sacrificing April. And if he got pleasure in the meantime, fine. If he had to play along a little bit and do a little drugs that he didn't really want to do in the meantime, fine. But yeah, I think overall he can't really skirt away from that. And then also say it's about my audience. It's about, my viewers.
Right.
All right. I'm going to play it. I'm going to be right back and I'll try to be quick.
Okay.
I really, I'm trying to navigate which way is the best way to handle it. Like I said, Ralph, when you have stuff like this happen, you walk around thinking about it.
Yeah.
So then you go, let's do a show, and then maybe we won't think about it so much. Then you're done with the show, and you start thinking about it again. So yeah, it's gonna be a long.
Well,
road.
when you talk for a living, you get used to opening up maybe more than you should, and I completely understand that. Now maybe taking it to the extreme, but it's an extreme situation. So it is what it is. All right, Perspect Robinson, what do you guys got?
So you feel like getting it all out there. You're taking the wind out of Nick's sails. You're getting it all out there. People are, eating the shit up. They want to know all about it. They want to know about every sexual activity that you ever engaged in with the Rekieta family, But do you think like that in the end game is going to benefit you? Because Rackets really doesn't have anything else to put out there unless you make things up.
I don't know that that's true, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, he can put out his perspective on it. Certainly like I have.
Right.
That's about what he's got. Yeah, he can talk about his perspective on this whole thing. I don't know if that's wise while the case is pending.
Well, all the personal stuff, without speaking about any legal issues, I would say that he could speak about that stuff.
He can come back everything.
If he's going to come back and stream, he's going to have to. So
you're going to have to talk about it.
Now the legal stuff, I know that he won't. And I got the quote from him last night. That was a legitimate quote that I got from him. And he said he wished you $1 million in the quote. But I imagine when he comes back, he might say some things. I don't know for sure.
But I didn't do this. I just don't want this to fester into fact. I didn't do this for Nick Rekieta. I didn't do this for my ex-wife. I didn't do this. I did this because I'm having a hard time with all this. And I'm trying to figure out a way to exercise it. And one of the ways I thought would be bearing my soul, talking about the shit I did, trying to navigate, doing a show where you talk about yourself, but also not having this giant fucking cloud of lies and dishonesty over your head where you've got to, it's really fucking hard to lie about shit every day. It was hard to tell,
you should know the business.
On the swinging thing, you just fucking carry it around like a ton of bricks, and telling the truth feels so much better. But the problem is the things I did were so fucking bad that even telling the truth doesn't set me free totally. I still feel like garbage.
Well, many people. Hold on, let me say this. Many people have criticized you, saying you're trying to frame yourself as the real victim, and you're the one who's hurt by this. And there's kids involved on the Rekieta side. There's kids involved on your side. Aren't those the real victims?
I keep hearing that, and I don't know how many times I have to say it. I'm fucking garbage. I did a lot.
You did say that before, yeah.
I did a lot of bad, terrible shit, and it's not good. This is not me being a victim. This is me screaming, "Fucking forgive me for all of the terrible shit I did." It's an incredible situation. I've never been a party to anything so crazy in my entire life, and I just don't have the fucking processing power to get a handle on it.
But you can see why people are saying this though, because the show numbers are up, your money's up, everything's working right. Like, and the more you talk about it, the better it is really for you. And so some people are like, Ryan called in earlier, and he's like, "Well, this guy's doing this for Clout, and he's getting off on it."
Oh, I'm attached to a huge fucking story. I can't help it. That's like, OJ was doing his trial for Clout. I'm part of a massive story, and I can't detach myself from it. And if I do, I'm lying and I'm being dishonest. If I go, I have no idea, I don't know, I washed my hands of it a long time ago.
Keep talking.
That's a good point. Look, if you think I'm playing victim, then I'm sorry. Let me reiterate once again.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying that's other people.
Let me reiterate for the 900th time. I was one of the bad guys in this whole thing. I did a lot of fucked up shit. Scandalized my marriage. Scandalized, children, and engaged in degeneracy. All of it. Bad luck. Don't do what I did. Don't open up your marriage. It's going to be bad. Don't do drugs. It's going to be bad. I know that there are people out there watching this going, "Oh yeah, but I do it the smart way." It's going to be a fucking disaster. I promise you.
I don't think there's any smart way to let another man fuck your wife and you watch Nikola, but I guess,
It's been a pleasure to meet you guys.
Well, he'll remember your name at least. I was going to say, don't you think that this hot tub stream was actually like a call for help almost? Like you wanted people to know.
And a lot of people pick up on that. People were like, "What the fuck?" Some people in your audience were like, "What's going on?"
No, that's really interesting. My attitude towards it was, the swinging rumors were already starting at that point, and they've been going for a while. Like, these guys are all fucking each other. It's amazing. Like I said before, there's so many things that you read online, like rumors and people's ideas, that you almost look around at each other and go, are you guys leaking shit to people? Because it's like these people are in the fucking room sometimes.
But yet he lied about it for 6
the hot tub stream,
right?
Of it was all these people are saying this shit, guys. Why don't we just go so over the top, silly shit with it that people maybe back off the rumor? Now, if you guys are going to laugh at that and go, guys, dude, that's the dumbest fucking idea. Well, obviously, because
I'm going to mock
it was going to be like a reverse psychology thing. Like, look at what we're doing. It can't be real because they're flaunting it in public.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Yeah. It turns out we made another really dumb fucking decision.
Yeah. You really are nuts, bro.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a long road back to anything healthy from this.
No, it's not.
But then why deny it the whole way until like this week?
Right, you clearly wanted people to know. That's what's the most serious part of this whole thing.
No, because look, once the arrest thing happened, I can't really hide that part anymore. April getting caught with that, and then the whole internet blows up with, and Nick Stream and they're fucking each other and this, that, and the other thing, and it's just like, and then you're carrying around that lie that you just keep lying and lying and lying, and then.
Well, here's the thing, bro. Like April's charges got dropped. You both.
Maybe it's just been a really long day or something, but it was a lot of fun a second ago because he was all over the place with Jazz. And I'm gonna keep doing it.
Oh my gosh.
Well, what else are you gonna do with the movie?
Just like kept your nose clean and just literally walked away from all of this and kept your silence. Am I wrong?
Everybody knows that we were there a lot. Everybody knows we were hanging out with them a lot. There's no honest way to go, oh, yeah, that was, fucking no, I had no idea. Like, people would have sniffed that one out.
By the way, if we hit the goal while Aaron's still here, I'll give you the big reveal that I've been teasing throughout the show. And we are, $32 away.
I got about 10 minutes.
It's about 10 minutes on the clock, yeah. And you kept your word, and I'm glad you moved it up a little bit so we can have our original time. Have you, and you don't have to answer this, by the way, because I hate even really asking about kids, etc. But has it affected that area of your life? Have you had to talk about
that's not what I was looking for. Ethan Ralph makes an announcement at the end of it, and I want you to watch. I'm going to put it on regular speed when we get there. I want you to watch Aaron's reaction.
Okay.
This with your kids, or like, and you don't have to go if you don't want. But
my ex-wife and I have talked about it, and my kids are doing great. They're doing really, really well.
That's good to hear, bro.
I've talked about it on my show. They started to sense April getting my oldest, not the other two, but my oldest started to sense April not being around as much anymore. And when she was here, being distant. I heard after the fact that my oldest was saying, I don't know if I want to go to dad's because I don't know what kind of mood April's going to be in, and this and that. And then, and when I found out about that, I'm like, we're not going to be able to repair this thing. And, I gotta, that's gotta be it, yeah, that now that that's all been cleared out and I pulled my head out of my ass, they've been very happy. I mean, they've been very thrilled, and they've actually been a big part of my support system, and they've been really great.
But how did they feel up until that point? He said something just the other day that it was the same stream where he was talking about how Charlotte wrote him a letter about like wanting him to stay off the internet. And he said, he was like, I checked up on my kids, wanted to see what was new in their life. I checked up on my children. Like, I've never heard even a stepdad or like not a stepdad, but a father who only gets his kids once a month or something. It's not like I checked up on my kids. Like, you're at least involved enough where you know what's going on with them. So it's just like, it's strange to hear him say something like, the kids are doing fine, now that, all this has come out and we've been able to assess it. And, with Ashley and all that, my kids are doing great. How were they doing the full 6 months every time you brought them over there, set them down on a couch with a tablet or, I mean, whatever the situation, that's the only real thing that I've heard him say about any of the experiences that the kids may have had. But I mean, come on, if it was bad enough, because he has said something like, Charlotte came to me and was like, whatever, tired of going over there and didn't like the way that April was like disowning them and wasn't paying them any attention and so forth and so on. Like that was like what, the 6th month of it, or like, what about month 5, month 4, month 3? Were you checking in on them while they were in your presence to see how they felt about the situation? Like, what? I can't stand him, Jackie. I can't stand him. Okay. He aggravates me. He aggravates me to no end. And when he talks about his children, like they are objects that he can pick up and put down when he feels like.
When him talking about his daughter writing him a letter telling him that he needed to stay off the internet, I was like, oh, so now you're going to use your children for sympathy now?
Yeah.
And like, and sure as shit, 2 minutes later, he's out there begging for money.
160 to the goal. Come on, Venmo, Rumble. Yeah. Well, not only that, but beforehand, you weren't allowed. Like at one point, I think he blocked the name Charlotte, Ashley, LaRue, his other
Right.
kids, their names in his chat. And then right after we found out that the kids were, had been moved to foster care and all that, that's when he started posting videos on social media, X and Instagram and Facebook, of him and Charlotte like doing karaoke and things like that. Like it was a 100% fuck you, Nick, look what I can do. Because it was right before Father's Day. It was right before Father's Day.
Right.
It was a very intentional, like, to Nick. And I thought that was so dirty. Like, I know someone else that uses their children as weapons. And to me, that's what he did here. He is weaponizing his children when he knows that he's not even close enough to do that, really. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't even know them anymore. He doesn't say, well, I shouldn't say that. I'll take that back. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it's like, honestly, like, he's just so butthurt. Like,
yeah. He's looking to hurt Nick however he can. And he does still have, contact with his children. But before he wouldn't let anyone talk about him. And honestly, he didn't bring him up very often. So it's like, yeah, right before Father's Day weekend, and it might have even been Father's Day weekend, you're going to post all these videos with your kids and pictures of Charlotte, like digging up the front of the house and planting flowers and all, like Dad of the Year, when this is like what Nick's going through. Like, I don't know. That's just.
Do you think that it had nothing to do with Nick Rekieta, but have everything to do with him trying to rebrand his image?
Yes, but I also think it had everything to do with the allegations and stuff that have come out against him. He knew, and that's just it. I have to look at the dates, but Father's Day was after June 10th or whenever that was served, I guess, or went into
he was
action.
served June 10th he was served a notice to appear on June 10th.
Okay, so that would also be a reason to be like, oh, well, I'm over here handling things. And because the whole thing with the domestic violence, the reason why any of that was even filed ever was Ashley was not in the picture anymore. They've not been married for several years now. The only reason that was even a thing was because Ashley was trying to protect her kids from what was happening whenever they were in his care. So to me, it's like, let me show, the public that I'm handling my business and I'm being a good dad and I'm doing things with the kids. And I think it was like a multi-pronged and he was using them as a weapon.
Father's Day was June 16th.
There you go. So 6 days later, probably the next time he had them, that's what he does. And like I said with Nick, like that's the first time that Nick's not probably been around his children ever on Father's Day. Like, so it was a multi-pronged thing where this person got to see this person got to see that, his audience and everybody on the internet saw this. So, it's sick. That's so gross. Like this entire process, the children have been, moved around like little chess pieces, and they're the only ones in this entire situation who have zero control over what happens to them when they get fed, when they get their clothes, when they get taken home, when they get picked up on the bus, whatever. And it's up to the adults, and all of the adults are acting like children, except for Ashley LaRue. She's the only, she's our saint, right? Like she's the only one who's, she's the only one holding down the fort and like being responsible. And really, like all of the other ones are being very childish and immature in some of their decisions.
They're being very selfish.
Yeah. And all for totally different reasons. And that's sort of like with Kayla, like, I don't know so much that she was. I feel like she may have been in a position where like maybe her and Nick were having issues, or maybe she was just curious, whatever the situation was. What did Kayla get out of it? Nothing. Kayla, like, if anything, Kayla's situation was way worse, but like having them come into the relationship between, Nick and Kayla's relationship, like if I were Kayla and this was something I was like thinking about doing, what are the advantages for her? Like I can see what the advantages are for Nick, for April, for Aaron, but what is like Kayla didn't get a payoff. Kayla didn't get any benefit out of any of this happening. So
well, if he croaked from doing too much coke, she got the money.
Well, that's what April's trying to weasel her way into. I think April wants that position. Yeah. He's been
Wife number
grandfathered
one.
in.
It reminds me of Sister Wives. It really does. I know someone else had brought up Sister Wives too, but I thought it was actually really funny. She's trying to get to the number one wife position.
I've never seen that.
Oh my gosh. All right. You want to go down like a freaking rabbit hole of, honestly, you want to talk about like a reality TV show that you could talk about forever? That one.
Is it real though? Is it a
Dude.
reality show, or is it like a dramatic,
It's a reality show, but all their stuff is like blowing up in the public right now. Like all the guy had 4 wives and now he's only down to 1 because 3 of them, everyone calls them the OG3, have left.
Almost like it wasn't a good idea or something, right?
Yeah, well, like I guess like the 4 of them, the OG3 and the husband were together for a while, for like almost 20 years, or it was like probably like 18 years. And then I think they got the last wife, like it was like 16 years prior to them bringing in a new woman. So there was like a 16, they're like all the wives, like they all got married within a year of each other. And then 16 years later, the 4th wife came, and it drama ensued.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, think about the first wife. Like, what did she get out of that beyond, like, I guess if they had a bunch of kids, like helping to take care of the house? Like, I don't understand that. I really don't. I can't. Okay, number one, obviously, like not sharing your man with anybody. That's like already mind blowing. But beyond that, it's like, what benefit does she get for having 3 other women move into her home and sleep with her husband? I don't understand.
You gotta watch the show. I'll tell you. It's all
where do you find this show? Where is the show at? Oh, I don't have TLC. I don't have no TLC.
Oh, girl, they're like on 18 seasons.
Wow. Yeah, I've never seen it.
Yeah, but they're also the fundamentalist Mormons or what have you.
They are? Well, there you go. There you go. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, well, there's a lot of that. So,
yeah.
It's interesting they have a show, though.
Oh, yeah.
Wild. It's wild. All right, let's get done.
All right, we got about 9 minutes here. Guy wants some Perspic speed run.
Yes. Do you think there's any chance of repairing this marriage with April? She's a very good-looking girl. It seems like he's been waiting.
He really wants you to repair the marriage.
You seem to take accountability. Do you think you can reel it back and fix this marriage?
There is no. I think we've hurt each other way too much, and also I want her to get better, and I want her to become, a better version of what we all are now. I think she does have it in her, and I don't think I'm a healthy option for that. I think the things we did to scandalize our marriage and our relationship, I don't think you can put that toothpaste back in the tube. So I don't think I'm good for her. I don't think.
So have you filed papers, or is she filed papers?
Yes, I filed papers.
Yeah. Was this whole union a way to try to salvage the marriage in some kind of way?
Or get rid of
it?
As naive as this sounds, and as unsatisfactory as this is going to sound to a lot of people, I think we just thought it would be fun. And maybe it could just be harmless, and you could keep it to just exploring these fantasy things and all that. And it doesn't work that way.
But how bad does your relationship have to be for that to even be a thought in your mind? Right.
Go skydiving. Like,
do something that's going to bring you closer together.
Yeah, go bungee jumping. Like something.
Go to one of those, those like wine and like painting things. I don't know. Go do like on Ghost where she's over there like sculpting the pot or something. Like do something to bring yourself
Patrick
closer.
Swayze. Like, come on.
Dance. What is that? Dirty Dancing.
Don't put baby in a corner.
Yeah, both of them though. That's just it because he was in Ghost and that one. No, just be Patrick Swayze. All right. If it gets to the point where you're feeling some type of way, be Patrick Swayze and put on the suave, because this is not. I don't understand how anybody thinks that is like, going outside of the marriage is going to make your marriage stronger. Learn how
to play bridge. I don't know. Like, find something.
He's full of it. No, he knew that they were on the outs. It was about to, be done. And why not? Why not? We can still, to the outside public look like we're married and happy. We'll keep doing the show. it'll be like nothing ever happened. In the meantime, you'll get some strange, I'll get some strange. We'll party a little bit. Screw the kids who care.
Connections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and make connections with, you know. I think it's more connection driven than it is any type of anything else, really, to be honest.
For both of them? Could be.
No, just for Aaron. But honestly, maybe for April too.
What do you think the pull was for April? You're April, you're in this position, you hate Mubi, and you're 29, and here comes Rekieta and his wife. Like, what do you get out of partaking? Besides cocaine. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Because she said she had done a lot of that. And she came in late one morning. See, I was watching this mess way before the divorce. She came in one morning and she told a story about how she had she was late because she had shot a deer with her bow and arrow, and the deer, she was cussing about the deer, that little bitch, whatever, it ran off. It didn't go down, and it took off in the woods. So her and her friends spent the next like several hours looking for the deer to go ahead and end its life or whatever, and they couldn't find the deer. And she said they spent all day looking for it. Or maybe it was like the night before, and that's why she was tired or something. But anyway, we didn't know really at that time whose land the friends, you know, whose land belonged to whose friends, or what pair of friends, set of friends. But it's so interesting to like have a little perspective on it now and be like, oh, okay. Like, what else was she doing those 6 hours that she was out there looking for the deer or whatever? But you're right. So maybe it was their land, but there's got to be more to it. She was unhappy with Mubi. So yes, it was like an escape for her. He wasn't interested in going and like hunting with her. So it was something she could do on her own. That was hers. But what about the other stuff? Like, what about, because like we know that she was like making out with Kayla or whatever. They had a little woo, you know, and whatnot. But then like the plunge, like what, if you're April, what in your mind is what's the pull there? Just to have fun because you're so unhappy in your marriage?
Yeah,
or the money.
It could be
the money and the clout, riding in the fast really cars, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, everyone keeps talking about her like she's freaking Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder. She's just a simple girl. She's just a simple girl.
She's a woods girl.
Right. Like, so like I could honestly if from their perspective, it could just strictly be she had a place to hunt.
Yeah. I think for Nick, it's obvious, like, why April being around. And I honestly think that at one point they were like, she can be the nanny. We can have her either stay in the second house or she can live here. She can help us with all the kids, since our other nanny quit because she literally said she couldn't handle it anymore. And I don't mean the kids, the lifestyle, but it's like,
yeah,
I can understand why, like, what Nick benefited from April being around. And that's why I wonder if like Kayla was sort of thrown at Mubi to keep him busy. Like Kayla was trying to please her husband. Her husband wanted whatever to experiment and whatever else because
wanted some strange.
Yeah. According to Aaron, like they never did anything together. So I'm just trying to understand the dynamic in the middle of that. And I guess that's probably stupid since they were all like cocaine fueled, liquored up parties. And just wonder, like, Kayla, what were you thinking, dude? Like, and that's to my earlier point about being like to a certain point in your marriage where you're willing to let other people screw your significant other. Like, that's not a good place to be in. So for Kayla to be willing to just be like, sure.
Right.
Because from the outside world, as far as we knew, like Nick and Kayla were solid. They've been married 15 years or whatever. They have 5 kids. Like they were doing their thing. But it's like, and I also wonder, and I'll shut up and do the end of this, but I also wonder like what Kayla did all day, because we know from the reports what the state of the home was in, and Kayla did not work, and Kayla did not tend to the children. I mean, obviously, what did she do all day? And I'm talking about for years,
Right.
because she hasn't worked since forever. Like, what did she
Right.
do? And I have to wonder if that's like part of the reason why she was okay with letting this happen with this other couple, or at least April. Like, what? I really don't understand what she did other than just sort of be a placeholder. I don't know. All the things. Okay. Let's finish.
All good questions.
Did you find she was quite hard to keep up with? Like, she's in her 20s. You're obviously a lot older. You've got kids.
Oh, no.
Did you find she was hard to keep up with?
No. She was fun. She was a lot of fun. No, I didn't have any problem keeping up.
But you clearly did. I mean, you left her in a drug-addled state at Nick Risotto's house. So, I mean, you kind of did lose.
Look, man, when you try to talk to someone and they just, fucking cut you off at the knees, and then you just start fighting over it and everything else. You can't. I mean, you can pull them by the hair and drag them back like a caveman if you want to, and then every time they're on their phone, you're going to wonder. Every time they leave the house, you're going to wonder. It's not a state.
Okay, I said I wouldn't stop it again, but I have to say this. When you were gone a little bit ago, I said that when, let's say April, we know that April and Aaron weren't in a good place. When Aaron brought it up to April, even before he messaged the Rekietas about like hooking up and doing this, that was solidifying for April that this is done. He is willing to share me with other men or people. So I think from that point forward, like that was, if whatever respect she had for him was absolutely gone. So when he's like, oh, well, she was, fighting me and shutting down and wouldn't talk to me. And like, that's because you showed her how little she meant to you and how little the marriage meant.
And if his relationship with Kayla was really like he's explaining it to be, and how Nick and April would have to sit him down and be like, listen, you and Kayla are getting too close. It's making us uncomfortable, like that type of thing. Like, why would she be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to listen to you.
Yeah. About any of it. That's what I mean.
About any of it. And like, why would she even think that you even care?
But you don't.
Right.
Yeah. Like, that's what I mean. Like, zero respect. I would have laughed him out of the room too. I would have been like, really, dude? No, like, if you want to pretend like everything's cool.
After seeing some of the clips though too of like how he would talk to her on the show too, it's just like, why? Like, I can understand why she wouldn't want to put up with that shit.
Yeah. He berated
and he like gleefully letting other people berate her.
Yeah. He loved it. He loved it. And that's what's so weird about it, because that was going on for a while before any of this stuff happened. And, April probably felt really stuck. Here she was in this home with him. His entire world are the shows, in the morning, in the evening, on the weekends, member show. That's all that they had in common. That's all they ever probably discussed. And in between all of that, she was taking care of the kids. Like, running them back and forth and feeding them and everything else. Like, she was playing house for a man who, we see how he treated her on air. And I wonder, you know what I mean? Like, what life was like for her, when the cameras weren't rolling, especially now with the allegations and stuff coming out. So it's like, for her to talk to Ashley and confide in Ashley, and then both be like, he's a monster. And Ashley be like, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that. I hope that wasn't what you were going to go through. And like automatically understand what she had to deal with. He is a monster. He's a monster, and he's weird and floppy and has movies. I just can't stand him. I cannot stand him. But yeah, I just wonder what everybody got out of it. And the three other people sort of make sense to me as far as like, what they could benefit from, but not Kayla.
Yeah.
And I have to think that both women were at a place in their marriages where that was acceptable. What does that say?
I mean, maybe for Kayla would be something that she thought would make her relationship with her husband better. I don't know.
I mean, I hear you, but I just don't know how that's a thing. Like, and honestly, from what we have found out about their like sexual relationship as husband and wife over the years, it's gotten like increasingly more experimental, I guess. And we don't know what they've done outside of April and Aaron, but obviously, like he said, there were rumors before that. We know that there's the Baldo that exists. We know that there is a sex dresser. Did you hear that? Did you hear Aaron talking about the sex dresser? Okay, it might have been on Keanu Casino. Oh yeah, he said in their bedroom that it was basically like a china cabinet, like it was built like a china cabinet, but full of sex toys. He said that there was a swing that they pulled out one day and were like trying to get them to try. There was he said they went to a hotel and stayed overnight at one point, and that Nick had a bag, like a duffel bag, and inside of it was some kind of a cross, like some sex cross, and you put it up on the wall and like, I don't know. They spread eagle.
What we don't understand is that Kayla actually did work, but she just like was like a tester for Pure Romance or something.
You always surprise me, dude. You have these like, oh my gosh, these like deadpan, like setting up your jokes sometimes, and you just every time you get me. Maybe she did. I don't know.
Maybe she did. You don't know. I mean,
that's never crossed my mind. But you may be right.
Maybe but you don't know it gets cold in Minnesota. You got to keep yourself warm somehow.
It's true. But yeah, so my point was just that like they had been, they've been together for 15 years, 5 kids. Like, the kids were finally old enough to like where you could leave them alone for longer than 20 minutes or whatever. So they were trying to spice things up, and I get that, but I still don't think that, replacing or like adding one or more human beings to your bedroom, and literally your bedroom, sleeping overnight and all that. I just don't think that that would ever be anything that I would think would fix my marriage. Now, would it please my husband and, be in a situation like that? Maybe, but you have to live with that whenever, the hoes go home. Like, then what? Like, what happens? Like when she leaves and Aaron leaves, and then her and Nick are just like sitting there, like looking at each other awkwardly. I mean, I don't know.
Guess we'll go make spaghetti. Like,
I don't get it, dude. Yeah, like, and I wonder today what that is like after going through this and the arrest and all that.
Load for our next tryst.
It's so weird, right? But that's just it. We know that Kayla wasn't cooking. We know Kayla wasn't cooking. Kayla wasn't cleaning. Kayla, what was Kayla doing? Just sleep. And people have said, oh, she takes her Xanaxes and goes and watches Star Trek all day or whatever. But you can't just completely disconnect from your family, your kids, your home. Like that's not healthy. And if no one around her saw that enough to try to get her help, like that's a problem.
Right.
The fact that she felt so overwhelmed that she just completely cut herself off from all that is a problem. I don't know. I feel like if I felt bad for anybody in the situation, it's Kayla, because I feel like there was a lot more depression maybe going on there. Feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness and so forth and so on. That's the only reason that I can think where she would be like, okay, I guess we'll try this. Like, I guess like Nick's interested. Nick gets fucked up and he's horny and he wants, some strange, because we know from Camelot that he was going to the strip clubs and all that and like buying hookers. And so like, poor Kayla, I guess, but it was poor Kayla way before this even started. And I think a lot of her going along with this and getting roped into the drug use and some of the other things was out of wanting to please her man. And I just, I don't know. I'm thinking on the fly. Sorry.
Test out those products. She's got to get, her commish from Pure Romance.
What if she did?
I'm telling you, those Midwestern bitches are really, really like on point with their pro romance shit. Like, and they will hunt you down for years if you're just like, I just need to make friends because I'm in a new place and I'll go to this party. You're like, okay, all right, stop sending me emails. I don't want your shit. Like,
and come to find out, they all get turned out. They're all getting turned out.
Yes.
And like, well, I'm sure she was bored and stranded out there. I just really do wonder what she did with her day. Like, what did you do all day? I don't know. All right, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm gonna shut up.
Either of you want to be in.
Well, when your wife has slept with another man, can you ever really look at her the same again? It's a tough situation. I don't know if you could really salvage that at that point.
That's a good point. Like, could you, like, let's say we all four of us, we just go 2 and 2 our separate ways, whatever. Every time I'm on the phone, does she wonder if, who I'm talking to? Every time she's on the phone, do I wonder who she's talking to, and vice versa with the other couple? I don't think you can do that and then go back to anything normal. And I don't think you can pull off this 4-person polyamorous relationship over a long period of time. But I don't think that was thought about.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. It doesn't work. Now, do you think you could get a Bluetooth sponsorship out of this?
That's going to look really good for the he's just clout chasing crowd. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
hey,
yes, but no.
Yeah, I mean, you've got really nothing left to lose. You're forever going to be known as this like eternal cuckold. I mean, it's kind of fun.
Thank you, Godwinson. Again, I can't tell you how fun it was to meet you today, and how glad I am that you and I have become fast friends.
Anytime. But you are going to carry, for real, like man to man, you are going to carry Dick's label around forever. And these actions that you've expressed here and on previous shows, on the show following, you are going to live with that for a long, long time, brother.
And so will his
Holy
kids.
Shit, dude. Thank you so much. That hasn't haunted my dreams for the last few weeks.
Well, what is the strategy to get around this? Clearly, clearly
hold on.
Yeah,
here's my strategy.
You're the one putting it out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're the one that won't shut up about it.
To the extent, because somebody said at one point, I heard them say something like, oh, it was in a comment. But they said something like, nah, man, Nick's kids and Aaron's kids are going to find out about this, as they get older and through middle school and high school, if they get picked on or something for it. They're not going to get picked on. People are going to be like, oh, that's so cool. Your dad's the shit for doing this and that. And like, yeah, that's rad. And I'm thinking, no, there's video of Aaron talking about like cream pie and Kayla. Like, I cannot imagine being one of those kids, whether on his side or Nick's side. Like, he said so many really gross details in the Kino Casino clip or interview that it's like, no, those kids are not going to be like, man, your dad was the coolest.
No, they won't.
And it's all about Aaron's doing. It's all been Aaron. He's the one talking.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he gets sued for slander or something.
Oh, absolutely. Defamation, something. I think slander's in written form, right? Either way, 100%.
Yeah,
when Nick can talk, it's on. If you think that he's not taking notes and Ashley LaRue's not taking notes, maybe even April, you better believe it. When they can, they will, and they should. Because look how much time he will have had in front of them as far as like them being able to counter it. And if it affects the business, if it affects his channel, if it affects, April getting a job, they got a case. Not Kayla.
Here's my strategy. Here's my strategy. You can't run from this. You can't. So you face it. You face the slings and arrows. All right. If you're a host of a show that's public, you can't run from this.
Well, she was actually arrested. Kind of changes things a little bit too.
Yeah, I can't. If you try to hide from this, you just look like a fucking phony, and they'll just chastise you for that then too. I mean, I got into something way too deep, and I have to live with that now. I have to take responsibility for what I did, and I gotta take my lumps. Like, stop it, Ethan.
Sorry, man. It was there. It was on the table. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I just it's there's no playbook for something like this.
Now, is there anything, we got about 4 minutes or so left. Is there anything throughout this whole circuit you've been doing, and this is part of it, that you feel like you haven't said or that you would like to address? I know you're on another show tonight.
Because you're at the very end here. You've kind of gone through the gamut of questions. Yeah. Is there anything that...
I'll say this. I have handled, obviously there's no playbook for this. I've handled it imperfectly while telling my story and what I've experienced, my experience and everything else. I don't, I just, there's days where I say some things and I go, yeah, I fucking hope I didn't like hurt anybody or anything like that. And then there's other days where I go, there's no remorse in anybody and somebody's got to fucking pay and this and that. Like I run the gambit of emotions every day to day, and it's different every day. And I wish that weren't the case, but that's about the only thing I'd say is that, having to, going through this very publicly, with, and I do feel like I've had to discuss a lot of things that I wasn't discussing before because other things were happening, the Nick drunk stream, the arrest, everything else. I mean, holy shit. The whole thing has been a fucking crazy wreck. You got to remember when all this stuff was going down last week, I was kind of like, my routines were coming back and things were getting back to normal. And then a fucking atom bomb goes off and now you're scrambling and you have to try and deal with it while on the air, but then also in your private life.
Well, the big thing before was Mersh roasting you and your co-host and stuff. And then I was watching it and I was trying to set up a Blood Sports, which you were down for, by the way. And then, that didn't happen, but that was the main thing. And then this whole bomb just came out of nowhere. We got 2 minutes left, and I'll let you answer this.
I would kill for the merch fight today.
Yeah, I would love that actually. But do you think you'll ever get over this? Do you think your kids will ever get over this? This is going to be out in the public domain forever. And I know a little bit about these sorts of things, right? Being in the public domain, not these sorts of things, but scandals and stuff, and always on the internet. Internet's forever, as they say.
My kids have been very resilient about it. I will say this. I won't be the same. Whoever I was.
One sentence for the kids. My kids have been very resilient with this. That's it. He's not even thinking tomorrow how this will, affect the children. No. And then he went straight on to how it hurts him or how it affects him.
Right.
Just goes, it's just more evidence of him being such a shit father. Sorry, but he is.
Going to be before this that's gone, and someone new is going to take that place, and we'll see what that does. Again, I know this. What's that?
Say it again, Galveston.
Yeah, what'd you say?
I called him a cuckafly because he's being worse.
You motherfucker!
All right, finish your thought though. Finish your thought.
Yeah, I mean, just again, be as open and honest about it as possible because you never know what's going to come out, and just admit to what you did. The old saying: if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory, and just face the slings and arrows of it. You can't run from what we did. That's for sure. And just hope that as time goes on, it goes further and further into the back of your mind, I suppose.
And one last question: do you think this has been good for your career? I see Mr. Man says nobody knew who the fuck you were till this happened. That's not necessarily true. Some people know who you were. I knew you were, but do you think it's been good for your career?
No. The impact it's going to have on me personally, and the long-term impact, because the show numbers and everything are going to go back down. People are interested in this because I'm a firsthand witness, whatever, and participant in all this stuff. So I'm well aware of what that is. No, I don't think it's a net positive. I don't. I think short-term, there's a lot of eyeballs on it because I'm a freak show right now. I'm not the ringleader. I'm one of the circus animals, and I know that. Long-term, no, it's not going to be positive. Nothing I've done should be looked at as a positive.
All right, any final comments from Galveston or Perspicasting? I'll let him go.
Just one, really, and it might require a bit of an answer that might go over your time limit. But do you think Mike David of Red Bull Radio was right about you and your co-op?
I don't know. What did he say?
He said exactly what would happen.
Well, then, yeah, if he said exactly what happened, then he was right.
But he said it a while ago, and you were in a spat with him and said, "No, it's all lies. It's all bullshit."
What am I going to say? No, Mike, we're not going to get divorced. Or yeah, Mike, we're going to get divorced. Absolutely. Well, no, I'm going to argue with him. Yeah. Just because he ended up being right. I mean, what can I do?
All right, Perspic, your final thoughts, and then I'll give one more salutation to him.
My final thoughts are: I just want to verify some things. So it started off friendly, things got sexual, then drugs came into the picture to kind of make everything copacetic. Now people are getting upset, people are feeling jealous, people are feeling all these things. So we do a bump of coke or some Molly or whatever. Inhibitions go away, things get out of control. So you're saying
no. I think you're kind of fucking up the timeline and everything else. You're really kind of putting this in like an organized Hollywood movie thing, and it's all kind of swirling around. Like you'll have to forgive me because it is a whirlwind experience in my life, but it's all just kind of swirling around, and it's this tornado of chaos. I mean,
so you're saying like 1 week everything feels normal, everything is normal, and then the next week it's crazy, and then the next week you're lulled in and it feels normal. Is that what you're saying? It's like this whirlwind.
Here's how I describe it.
Guitar Anthony sent $32. Here are my final thoughts.
Bomb goes off and there's a drama or a disaster, and then you move past that, and then a week or two, everything's good, whatever, and then boom, another disaster, another drama, whatever. It's not as cut and dry as it went here, and then it's not this linear progression. It's ups and downs, it's peaks and valleys. It's a giant mess.
By the way, we hit the goal, and I said I would make the reveal while you're here if we hit the goal.
Okay, hold on. I gotta put this on normal speed so you can watch his reactions. Okay.
And I've been promised the first solo interview with Nick Rekieta when he comes back to streaming. He's going to do his own stream, but
I'm glad I put that bet down.
I've been promised the first solo interview with Rekieta, so that's why I said it's not going to end most likely. But I thank you for honoring your commitment and coming on this show and opening yourself up to callers. I wanted to do it a different way than the kosher casino, right? And have more people involved, etc. And you took it on the chin, and I appreciate your time, and I wish you the best.
All right, thank you, buddy.
Even though you're a complete piece of shit, Aaron, at least
I understand. I understand, Godwinson. I don't think we're going to be at each other's Christmases.
Probably not.
Are you trying to offer a swap?
He couldn't get out fast enough.
Yep. He was gone quick when he found out that Nick was going to be on his show as like his first interview. His whole I don't know. It was like he saw a ghost.
His eyes started getting really shifty. Like,
He didn't know what to know.
Okay.
Like he was super stiff all of a sudden too. He was like,
yeah.
Lord Jesus,
Lordy.
that was a long one. And I'm sorry if there's so much to say and so many things to call out on this. I'm sorry if I made that longer than it should have been, but I think we did pretty good considering it was a 2-hour stream. Did you want to?
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, I can't find the exact. I was trying to find the exact moment, but I couldn't. So
what, when Aaron came in?
No, not when Aaron came in, but like because he came in and he was on there for like an hour with the ladies, and we don't have the time for me to like. Yes. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can.
There's one. Well, I have it like.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Let me back it up a little bit because hold on. So we'll have to watch it another time because I want to find the right moment in there.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So that's all I got.
So, I mean, I'm sure we probably said all there is to say, but any takeaway from that interview other than it being like completely different tone than the day before?
Yeah, it's definitely a different tone the day before. It was just so he right after that, like, is when he just starts just gets even angrier and angrier about the situation and stuff too. And like I know before I've said it's almost like watching him go through the stages of grief in real time, but like almost I'm not gonna like from a narcissist perspective of grief, like for real. I mean, because he will be very like apologetic and I think contrite, I guess is the right word, one moment and then the next not. So that's all I got.
And there's a couple times in this and in other shows or interviews where it seems like for a split second he's actually being humble, but I think he is just saying what he thinks needs to be said. Because if that were the case, he wouldn't do like you're saying and come on and like scream and yell and demand responsibility for actions. And why aren't you, all the stuff that he's doing, calling people sluts and whores and harlots. And, if he really felt the way that he says, like he'll have a couple breaks where it's like, oh, wow, maybe he's getting it now. But then he just, falls right back into it. So it's like, all right, even that wasn't genuine.
Yeah. Nope, for sure. That's all we got for you guys right now.
Okay, bye. It's been a long one. It's been a long one. So in the future, I think we're gonna have to at some point, even if we have to break it down into segments, go through the Kino. I've got to rewatch it, the Kino Casino one, because that honestly was the most fun to watch of all the interviews that came after the arrest and all that came out. But okay, I'll ask this question. We can end with this. Since this is going to be a premiere on the week of the 16th, and we're taking the week of the 9th off too, what do you foresee happening between now and then with Keanu and Aaron? If you had to guess, like, what does the next show look like with them if she goes on? Like, what play do you think she's gonna? Yeah.
I don't think she will. I think he will make up. Yes, I don't think she will. I think he'll make up an excuse as to why she's not there. He's already talked about like Gino with like Compound and stuff. And like maybe, I don't know when they're getting married, maybe like make up an excuse like, oh, she's got wedding stuff that she needs to figure out. So she's like not going to be back for a while or something.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know when their marriage is either, or their wedding, not their marriage. I want to say August. I could be totally wrong with that, though. I don't pay attention to what Keanu's got going on, honestly. But And now I need to find out because I think that's a really good out. Both of those. And I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't come back.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be very surprised if she did come back.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I wonder, the week before, thank God, I don't know, or maybe the week before that, but there was supposed to be like a big revelation, remember? That was going to come out and it was going to make the 9-year-old like hair follicle test look like a cakewalk. That never happened.
Right.
That we know of. And so I guess I'm just wondering, like, within the next couple of weeks, because we need to find out when Nick's arraignment is. So there's, by the time this airs, there will only be a couple weeks to go before, well, no, that's a lot. It's further off than I thought. But a lot can happen, I guess, in these next couple weeks. So I just wonder what the next shoe to drop will be. Because Nick's gone on, a couple of shows and had a couple of people on where I feel like he's sort of said a lot. Like when he went on the Killstream yesterday, the one that I was telling you got like removed by Ethan because it was so embarrassing. You got to watch Alyssa clips and see. They're like little 2-minute segments, 3-minute segments. They're real short, but I feel like he said more than he should have then too. Like he didn't say anything necessarily that was like incriminating.
Right.
But to me, like spoke on it longer than he has. I don't know. You'll have to see it, but
hold on. Right now, there was Kino clips came out about new documents leaked about Nick Rekieta and Lady Rackets. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God. And they're saying how Kayla had always been a failure as a mother is the title.
Wait a minute. It's a video or you said documents,
it's
but
a
what
video.
is it?
I don't know.
Wait a minute.
I just saw it on YouTube.
I think this is where she had come on at one point on Nick's show several years ago at this point, and was like being all like weird, manic depressive, like almost crying at one point and then like laughing hysterically the next, but saying how she has always felt like she was a failure of a mother. And like, oh Lord Jesus.
Sorry. Okay.
But yeah, so that was my point, is that like I'm sure other things are going to continue to, like, literally every single week something has happened where it's like, oh my gosh, and so it's things that people still have on the forefront of their mind. I'm looking to let me see.
I know. Oh man, the Alyssa clips has an hour and 11 minute of the Killstream.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. I was listening to the Kino Casino coverage on it this morning when I was in the shower and stuff, but it's like 8.5 hours long. Oh
my God.
Yeah, so I just can't do it all in one take. But they were going over, Ethan's stream with Nick. It's wild. It's wild.
So much.
So yeah, we can't predict anything, but one thing we can predict is that the stories are going to keep coming out. The little revelations left and right are going to keep coming out. We've got Mubi going to court over the domestic violence accusations. We have obviously Rekieta going for his first appearance, and Kayla too. So the story is not going to be going away anytime soon. So we will continue to cover it.
Yeah. So with that, if you guys have any suggestions on any other videos, stories that are going on in the, I don't know, YouTube verse or whatever, just put it in the comment section or like DM us or whatever. No problem. But with that, I have nothing else. Just say thank you.
Okay. I'm just trying. Okay. Yeah. Is there anything we need to plug or do, or I don't know. It's been such a long day, dude.
No, it has been such a long day, but honestly, I have no idea. There's nothing that we need to plug right now.
You know where to find us.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And that's it. All right. Bye.